Good Tuesday morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. We are live coming to you from the studios in Concord, North Carolina. It is the morning Bullring, for Tuesday, not Monday. In observance of Memorial Day, we took a day off not doing the show. It is Tuesday, May 28th, the year 2019. Wesley Outlet here with you, along with Brandon Paul, sporting his Boston Bruins swag. They won last night 4-2, game one of the Stanley Cup Finals. I'll let you have your little glory here for a minute.
As my friend Dylan Smith would say, it's a great day to be alive, great day to be a Bruins fan, and a great day to talk some short track racing.
It is, definitely, and we have got one action-packed show for you here for this Tuesday. Again, May 28th, we took yesterday off because it was Memorial Day, and again, thank you to our men and women who fight for our country still to this day to allow us to have the freedoms that we enjoy as careers, that we enjoy as a love and passion for motorsports, but most of all, Memorial Day is an observance for those to pay respects that have passed away. So a very special weekend. And not only that, a very special weekend for racing this Memorial Day as well.
Oh, yeah, no matter where you were in the country, no matter where you looked, there was short track racing, late models, modifieds, dirt late models, dirt modifieds. I mean, and just yesterday, you had the Super Dirt Car Series and a lot of racing going on. Good time to be a race fan. If you like short track racing. So, yeah, good weekend, a lot going on. I know we were at a bunch of races ourselves. We stayed busy between Friendship Motor Speedway with the Fast Track Racing Series, and even going back to last Wednesday, the Speed 51 Open at Millbridge. That seems like it was like a month ago now, but that was a heck of an event, too.
It amazes me, talking with Ashley Burnett, and you know, I haven't been to Millbridge Speedway, much less worked an event at Millbridge Speedway since they first opened back up, like in 2005, 2006. And what they have done with that facility is just phenomenal. Talking with Ashley, yeah, I know the mini outlaw kart count was down, but there was 43 of the best. And I mean, when I was working on my MAV TV notes for that race, drivers from California, Canada, Florida, North Carolina, obviously being represented, but they came from all over. A lot of California and Oregon drivers were there.
Oh yeah, and the talent in that field was just amazing. Logan Seavey, obviously Kyle Larson ended up going to Victory Lane. Just a very talented field, and oftentimes, I mean, people, they're just go-karts. You go out there and watch those things, they're more than just go-karts. Those guys are getting up on the wheel. We saw Kyle Larson lose a wing during the pole shuffle.
Yes, the pole shuffle. That was awesome.
He was the second person to lose a wing during that.
Good morning, Mark Keeler.
Hey, there he is.
He is the operations manager, as he says. That's his title for Speed 51. Yeah. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Did you have a good Memorial Day yesterday?
Very relaxing. I didn't do a darn thing.
I got a question. How many showers did you take after the weekend at Friendship?
Oh, my word. Every night going back. Yeah, it was a little bit dusty. That's dirt track racing for you. But, no, you were talking about the Speed 51 Open and the talent in the field. And can't forget Chase Magic. Took the back row bonus. Was it Chase Magic? I think it was Chase Magic. Took the back row bonus and came up literally one spot in about 5 feet short. And
yes.
I think my favorite part of that was Kyle Larson in his post-race interview over to PA when they told him.
He turned his head?
He turned his head to look at the scoreboard. He had no clue. And, of course, he's tried it, and it's failed on him miserably twice. So that was actually part of me wishes there was one more lap in that race, but at the same time, I like how it ended. It was fun to watch for sure, and it's going to make for a great show on Short Track America. And good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Tom Ryan's in the house.
Are the highlights up already on the network? For the
I was going to do introductions to everybody.
Yeah, but you failed. You didn't.
And we got to the right over here, Mr. Zach Evans, the man that's
Nobody
our
can
stat
see
guy.
him,
No one
yeah,
can
to
see
the right.
him. Yeah, that's radio.
In Wesley's kitchen over
here.
here with his ginger ale and what is that? Vanilla Coke?
You know what? No, that is that's the drink that Bubba Wallace Jr. drank.
I'm still not sold on that.
I love it.
I've tried it. I'm not. I'm undecided.
It's not like regular Coca-Cola, and in no way am I endorsing this product.
Vanilla.
But hey, a great Coca-Cola 600. By the way,
you look like you're
probably
endorsing it right now, though. If you can see yourself,
probably the best Coca-Cola 600 in record for NASCAR.
How would you know? We were at Friendship.
Oh, I have my sources, and I have my I have my ways of watching video. I had yesterday off, okay. So yeah, I was kind of.
So you weren't watching and listening while you were supposed to be announcing it.
Oh no, absolutely not.
He would never do that.
Never. Now. Yes, I'll not lie to you. When I was doing setup to prepare for Sunday, I was listening to the IndyCar Radio Network, listening to the Indy 500. Simon Pagino won the race,
and you snubbed my boy Zach over here.
What?
Because he got into the tower, went to say hi to you, and you know catch up. He hadn't seen you in a few days, and you were like, "Dude, I can't talk. I'm listening to the Indy 500." You snubbed him.
You did that to
Did
Zach?
I really
You
do
snubbed
that to
him.
Zach?
Yes, you did.
That's not a good friend, Wesley.
I didn't realize I did that. Zach, I am so sorry, Zachary. I'm sorry, my friend. I didn't realize I did that.
Where do we go from here?
I don't know.
Completely ruined Zach.
Is it too late now to say sorry?
Did I embarrass you? Because your face is turning red over
I
there.
didn't realize I stubbed him. I was listening to the Indy 500. You know what? I'm not knocking the TV productions. But
Careful,
listening
boy.
to the way these guys call the races on the radio, it's just so much more excitement. And I've always been a fan of listening to the IndyCar radio. I know you're not a fan of Indy cars, but maybe if you would have watched the last 10 laps of the Indy
Don't call
500
me
on
out.
Sunday.
I'm a race fan. There's just some races I don't.
He
tune
just hates
into.
dirt. That's all.
I don't.
By the way, Bob Dillner on our Speed 51 page, I guess he accidentally commented as Speed 51, but he said the 600 was boring. So what do you have to say about that, Wesley? He just shut you down.
Wait, Wesley's
disagree.
speechless. We just saw it first right here live on the Bullring. Wesley
Boss,
Outland had nothing to say.
Did you tweet that? Did you freeze frame that moment of my face in jaw lock?
Oh yeah, Tom will clip it out.
I disagree with that. I'm sorry, BD. I disagree with it.
Here's what I'll say. From what I could see, as I was doing customer care, I was doing customer care for Fast Track at Friendship.
I was wondering where you're at, my friend.
Yeah,
said,
I was there. I was
BD
watching.
at?
I had you on mute, but anyways, no. I was watching, and I mean, for what it was, I thought it was a good race for what it was. I will still take pretty much any short track race over the Coca-Cola 600. That's just me. # more short tracks. But
Yes.
it is what it is. It was good for what
I
it
will
was.
say Saturday, the Xfinity race, what I was able to
It was
see
awesome.
of it. I mean, to see that many cars finish with beat up fenders
Yes.
and donuts on the side and everything else was actually incredible to see that on a 1.5-mile track.
Hey, and mind you, a former dirt track racer, the California kid Tyler Reddick out of Redding, California.
is there
He won it.
anybody you don't have a nickname for?
If they have a nickname, I pretty much try to keep track of
Do
it.
you have nicknames for all of us that you can say on the air?
You gotta work.
Bruin Paul.
Bruin. That's lame. That's
Bruin-
That
Bruin
is
Paul.
kind of lame.
No, I really don't actually.
Tommy.
Speaking of nicknames, I hear we got a new one for Wesley this weekend called Spaghetti.
Give him a 50-foot XLR cord, and the day's over.
It's you know what? Let me tell you
That
something.
that alone is worth watching the MAV
Hang on a
broadcast of
second.
Short Track
I had the
America.
privilege to work with one of the best cameramen in the business, Matthew Dillner. Not taking anything away because I got nothing but love for my friend Tom Ryan back there. By the way, we'll
Is
have him
everybody
doing the
your
news.
friend?
I have a whole bunch of friends. If I say you're acquaintance, you got a problem. So, okay, mind you this. Matthew Dillner, he was my ENG, as they call him, the ENG guy. He gives me like a 25-feet cable, and we are literally fighting this cable all through Millbridge Speedway in the pit area, up the stairs, down the stairs. I do an intro, it'd be all tangled up, and it's my fault. How is it my fault?
You're
I
holding
always
the
thought-
mic.
But I thought the ENG always handles the equipment. You know, the reporter always has clipboards and notes and pens, and I'm walking around with a empty cord here, unplugged microphone. No, before he hands it to me and I hand it back to him, it's like all miscombobulated. Is that a real word? I guess it is now. I'm literally playing cat's cradle, so to speak, to put these mic cables back together again. It was like Humpty Dumpty with a wire cord mark keeler.
It was pretty entertaining, especially because I think the best part of that is the
It wasn't
people at
funny.
home. Well, it was funny for us. See, the people at home only see whatever camera's live. But Bob Dillner and myself, we have another, screen that has all the different camera feeds, so we could just watch Matthew's camera the entire time and see you struggling with that. And it is recorded for posterity reasons. We might even have a clip of it here coming up later on
really?
the Bullring. But
Wow, do I get
yeah.
any? Did I get any say in this?
I've never seen your face this red, Wesley. This is
wow.
great.
We've got him this morning.
I
Hey
shaved
guys,
this
we
morning,
got to
too,
talk
because
some.
I shaved this morning also. Yeah,
We've got to talk some short track racing.
we're going to
That's
talk
what-
short track racing. We're talking about short track racing.
We're talking about your XLR
reporters
cord
and
and your
XLR
tangling up
cables
How
missing
about-
up at the Millbridge Open.
How
Yeah.
about we started off with Friday night Friendship Motor Speedway, Michael Brown, the fast track racing series, and the pro late models putting on an unbelievable show, really, and Michael Brown just dominating. And I mean, Wesley, you said it a bunch of times on the mic over there.
Yeah.
Never won before,
No.
and then boom, goes right out of the gate and gets two. That was pretty impressive to watch.
He's never won a race on the fast track circuit. His biggest success was being a runner-up at the World Championship last year. And of course, driving the car for the driver of Ross Bell's. Hell's Bells, Ross Bell's, as Bob Dillner always says.
We got that from you.
No.
You
He
did that
Bob
last year at
Dillner.
311.
Do what?
You did that last year. I think it was 311 that was the race I was at with you, and that was the first time I heard it, so I made sure everybody
There's
else heard
actually
it, too.
something that Bob Dillner copies me on.
I wouldn't
guess
go
so.
that far. But no, it was a good but long night of racing at Friendship.
It was.
Some of the support divisions kind of struggled to get going a couple times, but the Fast Track Racing Series I thought put on a good show. You mentioned Michael Brown, Carson Ferguson coming so close that first night, and then finally on Sunday after six.
That's what I was
Six
gonna say.
runner-up
What was the
finishes.
Six runner-up finishes.
Yeah, see, I'm a stat guy like Zachary is for Speed 51. I am for Fast Track.
Stat guy Zach.
Six runner-up finishes, 9 top 10 finishes. He finally broke through into victory lane on Sunday night. And, I mean, it don't matter if it was 10 cars or 40 cars. A win is a win is a win. He had to go up against some good competition in Michael Brown and others. And Justin Hudspeth, who also knows Friendship Speedway very well. It was very, very special.
I think it was fun seeing the level of respect that Michael Brown and Carson
yeah.
Ferguson both had for each other. Michael Brown was very complimentary of him on Sunday. Talking about how great it was to see him get that win. He was the first person down the backstretch to pull up alongside and congratulate him, and then, came down into victory lane and did that all. And I don't know. I kind of like that. There's a lot of respect there. They raced each other hard, but definitely with respect for one another. And you could tell how much that they respect each other in victory lane, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, love and respect.
What's up, Zach?
Hey, how's it going?
Zach
How are
Evans is
Great.
in the
Is
house.
this one on?
Yeah, that one's on.
Cool. So, yeah, I just want to, for one, I'll just say I think if we keep going down the trend of calling me stat guy, Elgin Trailer's got to get really upset.
Yeah, he was the original stat boy.
Oh, that
So-
reminds me. I got to get some fast track stats to LG.
Yes, he wants those badly. But along that vein, it was definitely really impressive to see.
What
like
did
you
Tom?
mentioned, that
Wait a
respect.
second. What did Tom just do behind you?
He's back here dancing.
Dancing stat. He's the new guy. Stat man.
Hey, I want to see you do the sprinkler. I want to
The
see you
stat
do.
man. We'll save that for. We got to give people a reason to stay tuned. But go ahead, Zach. As you were saying.
Yeah, as I was so rudely interrupted. But
Well,
yeah,
excuse me. Yeah, you just stood there and grabbed the
You
microphone.
did it again. Let the guy talk. Come on.
Go ahead, my friend.
I'm just trying to give some love to Carson Ferguson here, and nobody will let me. It's kind of a shame, but yeah, it was just so cool to see him. Both how excited he was to win that race, and how much respect they had for each other.
And I
afterwards.
think it's because of the Bullring. Because he came on the Bullring and then he ended up in victory lane.
Are we
Some
starting?
Bullring magic. Is that what we're starting here?
That's what we're starting.
Come on the Bullring.
You got to
win
come on the
races.
Bullring if you want to get the monkey off your back, and it certainly worked for Carson Ferguson.
Wesley, speaking of the Bullring,
Yes.
we have some comments coming in on Facebook. People, comment. Let us know where you're watching from. If you have any questions, we're going to have a bunch of guests on. Huge guest lineup today. Let us know. But Connor Sullivan, Condog, if you didn't see on social media with every picture he posted, he didn't get to see any racing on TV Sunday because he was busy going to two short tracks in one day.
That's
For
awesome.
Connor Sullivan.
Kudos to Connor.
Kudos, Connor.
Where did he go to?
He went to Thunder Road, Pro
Oh.
All-Star Series,
In
Memorial
Barry,
Day
Vermont.
Classic, Barry,
Yes.
Vermont, correct. And then once that got over, he made the quick, I don't know, it's about 45 minutes, over to
So
Claremont.
much for a drive.
Claremont Speedway, the Tri-Track Open Modified Series. Big money. Matt Hirschman gets it done. Big shocker. Huge shocker to see him
Matt's
win one of
dominating the modifieds, man. Like,
It's-
seriously.
I do like that he picks and chooses where he races. He's,
Oh, yeah.
he's smart on that account. But, me and Brandon have gotten into this argument over the past couple of years just about drivers and who's at the top of their game. I'd like to see him. I mean, obviously, you wish he could be at every race, but he's definitely a smart racer. He picks and chooses where's the money at, because he's probably one of the few that's making a business out of it if he wanted to, because he's doing it smart. But in the family, the whole family's great. I grew up watching his dad, so definitely good to see Big Money get another win.
He takes some heat sometimes from people for not running the full NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour schedule, always cherry picking, blah blah blah. But when he goes to a tri-track race, that competition is just as good as any competition you're going to find anywhere, whether it's up north, down south, Valenti Modified Racing Series, NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. Plus, this weekend, Big Money, he's planning on being at Seekonk to go up against those guys.
Wow.
So that's going to be a good event.
And he's not always had. I mean, he's had success at Seekonk, but he's not the dominant one at Seekonk in the.
Did you just say the dominant?
But no, I've watched the last couple of years when they do their big open shows at Seekonk. Been able to watch on Speed 51, coincidentally. But I've watched him, and he's not the dominant car there by any means. Seekonk's such a tricky track because you're always turning, and the modifieds, for a track that size, the modifieds are awesome to watch at Seekonk. So definitely, if you can make it up to Seekonk to see Big Money head up there, I would do it.
Dennis Martin tuning in from Caskey, Kentucky.
Caskey, Kentucky. Hey, buddy, how are you doing?
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Absolutely, but
speaking of Kentucky, the Blue Ridge Outlaws at Friendship were pretty cool to see with the no roofs, the topless cars.
The topless.
I think that looks so cool. They put on a good show too. So
and Matthew Nance, our former, or defending, so to speak, fast track Southeast Touring champion nationally, won it last year, swept the weekend for the Blue Ridge Outlaw Late Model Series Tour for a Cure Friday night at Friendship, where we were all together at. You saw it on the Speed 51 subscribers, saw it on Speed 51 Network. Saturday night, they were at Travelers Rest Speedway in South Carolina. He won that event. And then Sunday, while we were at Friendship again, it came down to a great race between him and the Rutherfords and Rocket Ricky Wiggs, which Harris Speedway is in Rutherfords in North Carolina. And he made like a bonsai move. Talking to my announcer friend Jack Craig yesterday morning, he made a bonsai move with like 5 laps to go and made the pass and got himself a win. Went down there, pulled out the broomstick and started sweeping it across the racetrack. And so yeah, Matthew Nance, the Ronda Rocket, had a good weekend too.
So there was a ton of racing this weekend.
A ton.
There was all sorts of stuff.
You know where I went for the first time?
Hey, and how about Michael Brown?
Apparently,
Friday night.
We don't care, Brandon.
No.
What about Michael Brown?
No,
Who cares about where Brandon went,
I'm
right?
sorry. Brandon, where did you go to? Because you were at Friendship Friday. Where did you go to?
I went to Bowman Gray, the Madhouse.
Before it got rained out, right?
Well, we got a lot in. It was they got over half the program in, but it was my first time there.
Okay.
I wanted to go for a while. Just everybody, you have to go once. Some people say, some people may not like it. Some people love it.
Was it racing to you? Was it racing?
I thought it was. The race that I saw, I went in with an open mind. I paid my way in, paid for a ticket. I went as a race fan, which is a different subject, but I think it's awesome to be able to do that once in a while, because we get so wrapped up with what we're doing, whether you're a crew member, whether you're a driver. Sometimes it's just nice to go there, pay your way in, and experience a race as a fan. But that was it was an interesting night, but there wasn't a whole lot of Madhouse shenanigans, I guess you can say, until the end when it did start raining in the Sportsman race. I think they had a restart with 2 laps to go. The rain started falling pretty hard. They all go into turn 1, and the top 5 cars all collide.
Wow.
And then you have John Holloman just gunning it down in reverse down the backstretch, and we were just starting to see some of that Madhouse stuff you hear about.
Right.
So no fights after practice or any of that?
No, it was, and honestly, from my perspective,
You were disappointed.
No, I wasn't disappointed. I had a great time. The show that they run there is efficient, very efficient. I love what they do as far as bringing the cars out onto the racetrack while victory lane from the previous race is going on.
Right.
Short track promoters take notes. It eliminates so much time. They're ready to go as soon as that victory lane is done. The cars are ready to roll. There's nothing I like more than an efficient show. I don't want to be there 7-8 hours for a 100-lap race or anything like that. It's too long. But I thought they did a great job. I would go back. My girlfriend Christine, who she's still kind of getting into racing, not as big into it as all of us, of course. She had a good time. Love the atmosphere, love the presentation. So props to Bowman Gray. I know they take a lot of heat sometimes for some of the stuff that goes on there. But I enjoyed my experience. I thought it was a good time.
I like Bowman Gray. It's more of a go for the experience than I think for the racing aspect of it. I'm not a huge fan of the bump and run style. I know, Brandon, you're from New England, and there's a lot of small tracks up there, but the lack of banking makes it even worse. To where it's just a lot of bump and run. You can see some good racing there. It's when it comes to, I'm trying to think of the word, like just true racing. I'm a fan of bigger tracks. It's kind of my background with the half miles. A place like Thompson 5/8, a half mile New Smyrna. I like that. I like the speed aspect of it. So it's a different style of racing. But how can you? I've been there probably a half dozen times over the last few years with Speed 51, and how can you not enjoy just the entire experience there? And I think that's what it's all about at Bowman Gray, is the whole experience, and the car counts there are incredible.
Right. Oh, yeah, every
get it.
division. I think it was the stadium stocks, the sportsmen, obviously the modifieds, all with over 20 cars. I mean, no questions whatsoever about that. So, no, it was good. Like I said, I had a good time. I would go back. But, yeah. Scrolling through here, we have quite a few people tuning in, letting us know where they're watching from. Sean McLaughlin, Raymond, New Hampshire, Bill Fox.
Yeah, I was going to let you have that last
McChesney Park,
Illinois, I guess.
Illinois, and St. Albans, Vermont, Jason Domi.
I'm glad you said McLaughlin for that name, because it's spelled the same as Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin, who I always grew up hearing McLaughlin.
Right.
So even
McLaughlin.
with Max, I say it McLaughlin. But and apparently that came directly from them to Bob. It is McLaughlin.
Right.
And I cannot bring myself to say that ever, because I grew up, everything in New England, it was Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin. So that's I can't bring myself to say McLaughlin.
I would say McLaughlin, but like you said, I've asked Max myself. I think it was at Super Dirt Week one year. I was getting ready to interview him, and I said, "Is it McLaughlin or McLaughlin?" He said it's McLaughlin. So that's what we have to roll with.
Yeah, I know. It's just so uncomfortable.
It's not McLaughlin.
No,
it's not
no.
Crazy. I always call him Crazy H Max McLaughlin.
No,
It's
it's
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin. It's a G, but yeah.
McLaughlin.
Good try. A for effort.
Oh, that's a soundbite.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, Friendship Friday for me. Saturday, I drove all, well, actually, after we finished up the all-night show at Friendship, about 4 a.m., I left and drove all the way down to Dillon, South Carolina, the home of the New Year's Street Stock Bash. It was on MAV TV. It was on Speed 51 Network. It's going to be back there again, the 10th annual event in January. Props to Ron Barfield, guys. 100-plus degrees down in South Carolina. I mean, it was hot. It was a scorcher. If this is any inclination of what type of summer we're going to have, batten down the hatches and brace yourself.
Yeah, what happened to
speak.
spring? We went straight from winter into summer.
Yes. 100-plus degrees, but 100-plus cars. I was so happy for Ron Barfield and his wife. I mean, I'm telling you, Mark, and I'm not talking about just like, good. There was 15 late model stocks. There was 7 or 8 trucks, and I'm a fan of the super trucks. I remember the pro trucks as a kid going to see them at Kinley at Southern National in Myrtle Beach, and it's kind of died off. But I'm glad to see that start back up and going again, Brandon. And it was just, and they had $5, not just for footlongs, $5 for a race, and they had an awesome fan count. Brandon Paul, that place was packed. Honestly, Mark, because you were there as operations manager for the broadcast with Bob Dillner from MAV TV for the race in January, you saw how packed that was in January. That place was just like that on Saturday night.
You know what else was packed? Thunder Road. That place, I saw a video or picture, and they always, they have great attendance there.
What is the name of that? Right, the Chittenden Milk Bowl. Ain't that the one they kiss the cow?
It's the Milk Bowl. You don't have to add a fancy name in front.
They don't call it Chittenden anymore.
I don't.
That might have been a sponsor. I've never even heard that.
Okay.
It's always just been the Milk Bowl.
I've heard that though.
I've heard the
but just
name
call it the
Chittenden Milk Bowl, so I thought that's what the race was.
A bucket list race, but the pictures that are coming from there, the renovations that they're making at Thunder Road, Chris Michaud and Pat Malone are just unbelievable. I mean, we saw it last year at the Milk Bowl, but even this year they're adding the outside wall, the catch fence over in turn 3, adding some new grandstands, just really sprucing that place up. So that's good to see. You don't see that a lot right now in short track racing, capital improvements as far as the facility goes. So to see what they're doing and see how invested they are to keeping racing healthy at that historic racetrack, it was an awesome sight.
It was, and of course, the ARCA Midwest Tour had some awesome events, 2-day shows on Saturday and Monday. Coming up at 7:30, we're going to have on one of the ARCA Midwest program. Johnson Drivers is going to be on the program. We have got Michael Brown coming up on the show, and when we were talking about Michael Brown and his dominance, 3 out of 4 wins in the Triple Crown. He also went down to Charlotte. He won the race on Charlotte for the Second Pro late models. Just a phenomenal weekend. And I just love the fact that for once the weather gods worked with everybody, and even though it was hot and sultry and miserable, it still was no chance of the R word, and we had some great racing everywhere we went to.
Yeah, I thought there was no chance of the R word, but then I went to Bowman Gray. But anyways,
that hovers over you.
As you mentioned, I mean, Michael Brown to do what he does and what he did this past weekend, I thought he was going to get the clean sweep, but I think being out in clean air was big for Carson Ferguson. I think if Michael Brown would have started from the pole, I think he probably would have won the 4th race too. I think we might have been in agreement with that. But yeah, great program at Friendship. I enjoyed it. My first fast track racing series event. Hopefully get to some more down the road.
Really don't have a lot of dirt tracks up north where you're in
none.
Maine, do you?
I don't have one within 2 hours. The closest dirt track to me in central Maine. The closest dirt track to me is Bear Ridge Speedway in Bradford, Vermont. So don't get to see a lot of dirt racing, so I enjoy coming down here, seeing fast track. I've been to Cherokee Speedway, great facility. Love watching races there, whether it be in person or on the Speed 51 network. But yeah, love me some dirt late model racing.
Derek Griffith will be joining us later on from the Pass Pro Late Model event up in the north, or the Pass Super Late Model Series event up north over the weekend. We'll talk to him about that event. Drew Beddard of Bristol Motor Speedway will be joining us as we will discuss about the 3rd annual Short Track U.S. Nationals. And that is going to be a big event going on at Bristol Motor Speedway this Friday and Saturday, May 31st and June 1st. And I started kind of working on my paperwork to prepare for this event. There is over 200 plus cars in 4 classes of racing that are ready to take on the Last Great Coliseum this weekend.
Yeah, we actually we put that story together yesterday on speed51.com. 205 race cars as of right now. That includes the super late models sanctioned by the ARCA CRA Super Series, Cars Tour, and Southern Super Series. The JEG CRA All-Stars Tour Pro Late Models.
That's right.
CRA Street Stocks, and the Vors Compact Touring Series. Man, we're going to have Dan Redmond on later today of the Vors Compact Touring Series. 80 cars.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
80 compact cars are currently entered, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have more.
And when I finally woke up at my hotel room in Dillon, South Carolina, Saturday afternoon, I seen the announcement that the compact race is going to be a production on MAV TV. Like, you really want to talk about, I mean, I know we've done the street stock race at Dillon, and that's grassroots racing with these street stocks, but this is really phenomenal, having these compact cars getting this type of national TV recognition. That's going to be a phenomenal race to see.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a compact, a 4-cylinder racer, and you see that you have the chance to be on national television and race at Bristol Motor Speedway, the Last Great Coliseum, I don't know who wouldn't take advantage of that opportunity. I mean, it's just to be able to do that as a 4-cylinder racer, a compact racer, whatever you want to call it, just a tremendous opportunity that they've put together. And like I said, to have 80 cars, I'm looking forward to the show. Just the qualifying rounds, getting into that show is going to be worth the price of admission.
And we are getting ready to go to the phone lines and get our first guest on the morning Bullring, a first-time caller at that. We're going to go to the PFC Performance Line, and joining us is one of the drivers of the ARCA Midwest Tour, Mr. Casey Johnson. Good morning. Welcome to the Bullring.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So talk about your fun Memorial Day weekend up north.
Well, we had a pretty competitive field in the ARCA Midwest Tour out at Jefferson Speedway, and I don't know, we started ninth and worked our way to the lead about 20 laps in and set sail from there.
Casey, what did it mean for you to pick up this win? I know Jefferson Speedway is your home track. Last time I was up that way, I was going to Madison for the Joe Shear Classic earlier this year. I drove by it late at night, and but I know that's your home track. So how much did that mean to score the win at Jefferson?
Well, it meant a ton. It's actually where I started out racing when I was 16, so I've been doing this for about 10 years now, and every bit of things I learned in the seat, I learned at Jefferson Speedways, and just was never able to pick up the tour win there. And I've gotten second, third, a couple times, and finally we were able to seal the deal.
Now, for you, Casey, it was announced earlier this year, every race of the ARCA Midwest Tour is going to be live on speed51.com. This past weekend, it was supposed to be both races. You got rained out on Monday, but the race from Jefferson streaming live on the Speed 51 network. For you, just how cool is that? So maybe you have fans who can't go to the racetrack every once in a while. How cool is it as a racer to be able to have that opportunity?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, not only the publicity you get, nationwide, but I have a ton of family that actually lives down in Kansas, Oklahoma area, and they're able to tune in, when they can't make it up, which is, a majority of them, because that's quite a drive. So, I mean, it's huge, not only for us drivers, but for the series, just to get our names out there and stuff.
And you're looking at some of the content that is on the Speed 51 network, on-demand racing videos. Remember, get yourself a subscription, get yourself an email account set up with Speed 51. It is worth $9.99 a month or $79.99 a year to see all of the great content. Over 300 plus races a year that are put up. 100 plus live programs that are live like this event here, and just some awesome racing around the very tight racetrack, Jefferson Speedway. Casey Johnson. Casey, are you there, bud? Can you hear me?
Oh, yep. I'm right here.
I was just talking about just how small that track is up there in Wisconsin, Jefferson Speedway.
Oh, man, it's a bullring. I mean, it's real tight quarters, but believe it or not, we were going 3 wide down there, 3 and 4, and then a bottleneck down into 1. But we were able to not tear up too much stuff this weekend. You definitely have your hands full at that place. I can tell you that.
Now, Casey, you're a guy, you don't just follow one series. You're a pretty busy guy when the summer months finally come around in the state of Wisconsin. I know you do some stuff, obviously, with the ARCA Midwest Tour, the Tundra Super Late Model Series, Wisconsin International Raceway. I mean, you're busy, it seems like, all summer long, whether it's a weekday or a weekend. Just kind of tell me what your plans are this year.
Well, just like you touched on there, we're running the full ARCA Midwest Tour, we're running the full Tundra Series, and then there's a Live for 5 series that runs between Madison International Speedway and then the Dells, and then racing full-time up at Kahana weekly for the Red, White, and Blue series up there as well. So I believe there's 51 races on my schedule so far this season. So, we'll be pretty busy to say the least.
So let's get to know Casey Johnson here on the Morning Bullring. Talk about your racing career, how long you've been racing, and how you got started.
Well, I've been racing for about 10 years now. My dad actually raced back when I was a kid, and I had a little 4-cylinder bandit car he got me started in, and I wrecked it about, 4 weeks into my racing career, and he decided, well, instead of building this thing back up, why don't I just put you in my late model? So that's what we did, and the rest is kind of history there. We ran limited lates for probably the first 5 or 6 years, and then I was able to get my first jump in a super late. We ran it down at Rockford, got second in the National Short Track Championships, and kind of just started following all these super late series from then on out.
Talk about racing in the state of Wisconsin, Casey. As an outsider from Maine, obviously I have to keep an eye on it, working for speed51.com. But, I mean, it seems like there's just so much passion. And you look up there, you look at the car counts, the Midwest Tour. Greg McCarnes does a great job at bringing out a large quantity of racers, putting on a good show for race fans. Just maybe for people who are listening or watching who aren't from Wisconsin, who haven't been able to get to a race in your home state, just kind of describe for them the atmosphere up in the Cheesehead State.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to travel around a little bit, and from what I've noticed, there's really nothing like racing in the Midwest. I mean, we get such big crowds, and just from where I live, there's 5 asphalt racetracks within an hour of my house, and it's hard to find that. I mean, I can go race Thursday through Sunday, and there's 20 super lates, and there's a minimum of 20 super lates, and then there's a full crowd at every one of them places. So, I mean, just short track racing up in the state of Wisconsin isn't dying out whatsoever. Like, I mean, some places, I mean, are kind of struggling a little bit, but it still seems to be going strong up here.
So what are the goals for Casey Johnson in 2019? Obviously, we mentioned the busy schedule, a lot going on. But when the season ends, the snow starts falling onto the ground in the state of Wisconsin, what would be considered a good season for you?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, those championship series we're running for there, I might be a little greedy, but I want to win them all. The cars that we got and the team I drive for, I mean, they're fully capable of it. So if we keep everything rolling the way we should, I don't see any reason why we can't win all of them. So far, we got off to a good start. I believe we're leading the Tundra points, the ARCA points, the Live for 5 points, and sitting second at Kona right now. So if we just keep our heads up and keep digging, I think we can accomplish all our goals.
Casey Johnson again joining us on the Morning Bullring on the PFC Performance Line. Casey, the Midwest Tour for the longest time was sanctioned by ASA. I had a tenure back in the early 2000s announcing with ASA for the Southeast Asphalt Tour. The ASA Midwest Tour is now sanctioned by ARCA. Talk about all the great things that ARCA has done being involved and keeping the ARCA Midwest Tour going on up there in the Northeast. Or the Midwest, actually.
They brought their long time racing name right to us, and they were able to keep our, they brought like insurance programs and stuff like that. And then they also, at the end of the year, for the champion, they give them a chance to run around Daytona with a ARCA team and test and stuff like that. So they brought a lot of cool things to the series.
So what's next for Casey Johnson? We mentioned you're coming right off the win, ARCA Midwest Tour at Jefferson. Mentioned the busy schedule, but what's coming up here in the next few weeks if race fans want to get to the track and see you race?
This upcoming weekend, we race just a regular Thursday night show at Kona, and then Live for 5 series event at Madison. But within the next few weeks here, we actually got the Milwaukee Mile. We got 100 lapper at the Milwaukee Mile coming up, which that's got a big star on my calendar. That should be a really fun event.
Now, have you raced Milwaukee before? Obviously, I know this is the return to the Milwaukee Mile, but what are your experiences there? What are you doing to prepare for the Milwaukee Mile? As you mentioned, that's a big event coming up. I think it's on Father's Day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's Father's Day event. Actually, the last time they ran there, I believe, was in 2013, and it was a Big 8 Series limited late model event along with Super Lates, and I ran my limited late there, and we actually won that race. But being that they only run once a year and not every year, a lot of people don't have a ton of experience there, so I think it kind of levels the playing field a little bit. But we got a little track time there. Definitely a cool place. It should be a fun race.
So, Casey Johnson, buddy, we just want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Morning Bullring. Continued success for your rest of 2019 racing season, and thank out your sponsors, bud.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Valley Gasket. Benny, he's helped me quite a bit throughout the years. Joe and Scott Hogan, Wagner Automotive Research, they do all our motors, and Pathfinder Chassis.
All right, well, thank you so much. Casey Johnson, our first guest, first-time caller, joining us on the Morning Bullring for this Tuesday edition. Of course, a big win at Jefferson Speedway, and you can check out all those racing highlights on the Speed 51 on-demand racing video network.
And he mentioned the Milwaukee Mile, big
Yes.
event, huge event coming up. I'm hoping I might be able to go to that. But anyways, if you can't be there, we will have a pay-per-view broadcast.
That's awesome.
On speed51.com. So race fans, if you want to see super late model racing, return to the Milwaukee Mile. We'll have information about that announced shortly.
And, Jim Trado, he is a great colleague and a friend of mine. He is one of the influential people that are involved in bringing the heartbeat and the life back to the Milwaukee Mile. I remember watching races, Mark, with Indy cars, NASCAR, Busch Series, the Truck Series, and now having grassroots racing back in the Milwaukee Mile is truly special. We got to take a commercial break. When we come back, more of the Tuesday special edition of the Morning Bullring.
Hey race fans, download the new Speed51.com app today. Breaking news, feature stories, the Unfiltered podcast, live race coverage, schedules, and more right at your fingertips. Download it today on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
It's Bristol, baby! The short track U.S. Nationals return to Bristol Motor Speedway.
Okay.
May 31st and June 1st. For tickets, visit bristolmotorspeedway.com/tickets.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes.
Just a meathead.
Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion.
Yes, sir.
Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
Welcome back to the Morning Bullring. Brandon, I see you were sporting those NHL Bruins jerseys, man. I know you're excited for the hockey and see if they can win the Stanley Cup. Definitely.
Oh, I am 100%. You got to put $1 in the jar, by the way.
Wow, what did I do?
You forgot to unmute yourself when you started.
Okay, so there. All right. Well, I guess I got to pull a wallet out then.
Yep, $1 in the jar.
Oh, okay. So no cursing, but if you forget to hit the button when you come back on, it's $1 penalty. Got you. So we are getting ready to go to the line here in a few moments, and we are going to join the driver that we were talking about in our first segment of the program, downtown Michael Brown. What a phenomenal performance by these drivers. And before I go any further in getting Michael Brown on the PFC performance line, the rumors, the talk, the chat, whatever you want to say, is true, Brandon. The powers that be that own the racetrack or releasing the racetrack decided to shut their doors down yesterday. So that's a little bit of sad news on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
But hopefully somebody can come in there and they can keep that track alive. Bottom line, we've got to support grassroots racing. We got to support hashtag more short tracks. And to do that, we got to have cars. We got to have fans. And we got to stop this competing against each other.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you hate to see racetracks closing. Nobody wants to see that. I mean, earlier I mentioned the improvements being made at Thunder Road. That's what you want to see. You want to see people investing in the sport. But unfortunately, I mean, you have to understand it. Sometimes as a business owner, you just have to say, okay, this isn't working. Enough is enough. We got to close the doors. Hopefully, like you said, somebody can come in. We don't want to see this track become a lost speedway. A great little racetrack out in Elkin, North Carolina. I've been there twice now, so really enjoy my trips there. So hopefully they can find a new owner that takes care of the place.
We're going to go back to the PFC performance line. A first-time caller. He won his first 3 career Fast Track Racing Series powered by Chevrolet Performance National Touring wins on Friday night. Then one win on Sunday night in the finale in the 14th annual Triple Crown. He is also all hail King Brown, driver of the car number 32 Longhorn, of course, for Wesley Page Racing out of Lancaster, Bluffton, South Carolina, downtown Michael Brown. Welcome to the Bullring, buddy.
What's happening, man? How are you?
Have you recuperated after a long weekend of domination, so to speak?
Yeah, man. It's going to take a few more days, I think. It wore me out. I know yesterday I didn't really have much energy to do much of anything, so it was definitely a long weekend and hot for sure.
Let's just recap going to Friendship on Friday, and of course, so many changes, Brandon, in what was the Triple Crown. First off, the change from 311. Friendship stepping up with Fast Track and Tony Hicks to make that race happen on a Friday night. Then we had the debacle that happened last week, as you're looking at some of the highlights of the great racing on the Speed 51 network. On-demand coverage, of course, racing videos are up. And as we're looking at the highlights here on the Morning Bullring, Michael Brown, just talk about how it was negotiating around that racetrack Friday and Sunday.
You know, it was definitely had some characteristics. I'm sure those guys busted their butt and tried to give us the best surface they could, but it was definitely rough. So it definitely took its toll on the car and on us drivers, but all in all, thankfully I was able to come out on top, so we'll just have to leave it at that.
Michael, how important was clean air? It seemed obviously those first three races, you qualified first, started first, and pretty much dominated. I know that first race you had a little bit of pressure from Carson Ferguson at one point, but then you saw in the fourth race when Carson had that clean air up front, started from the pole, he was able to kind of pull away a little bit. Just how important was that throughout the weekend?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, that's really what won the race. If you go back and watch the highlights, when he got to lap traffic in the final race when I was running second, I ran him down like it wasn't nothing. But then once we had a caution and then he had clean air again, there wasn't really much I could do. So that there really shows how critical it is, especially when the track was pretty much, rough and wide open on the turn 3 and 4 in, and then 1 and 2 it was just slick and slow around the bottom. So, there really wasn't much you could do. I just kind of was buying my time, hoping for that lap traffic, and when we got to it, we had a caution. So that that pretty much sums up the deal. He done an excellent job and didn't make any mistakes and done what he had to do to win. So congrats to them.
Mark Keeler, you were actually videoing the action over the weekend, Friday and Sunday at the Bullring Friendship Motor Speedway. What was your take of the racing action that you were seeing through the lens?
I thought it was pretty good. Lap traffic played a little bit of a part, but I thought for the most part everybody did a good job of staying out of the way of the leaders and letting them race for it. And I think, like you touched on, Michael, that dirty air made such a difference. But one thing I commented on that really stuck out to me was the amount of respect that you and Carson have for one another. You were very complimentary of his first win on Sunday night, as he was of you, in the previous three races, saying if you got to finish second to somebody, Michael Brown's the one to do it to. How big is that when you're racing guys like Carson, on a regular basis and having that amount of respect, but being able to race each other really hard?
It definitely makes it a lot of fun, Each race, we kind of joke back and forth. When I come back on Sunday, he come and mess with me, said, "Darn, you come back again." We just have a blast. I mean, I've known him and his whole family since we were racing go-karts. I mean, Carson's a good little bit younger than me. I remember when probably his first race, so to see him, come through the ranks too, and to see what kind of driver he's become and how talented he is, man, it's pretty cool, and they've just been great people the whole time, and we've always been able to race, and here lately, race door to door, and have fun, and just really enjoy it.
As you can see here on the Morning Bullring, showing highlights now that you can see on the Speed 51 network, all four races. You can catch it on demand, watch all four Fast Track Racing Series events, races from Friendship Motor Speedway this past weekend. Michael, we have some questions coming in on our Speed51.com 5-star race car bodies Facebook page. Brett Wheeler asks, what does Michael do to keep fit and not be fatigued under race conditions? Me and I got some buddies that I grew up with. We meet 3 times a week at a gym and just lift a little bit of weights, and I try and run every night, and definitely 3 nights a week. But I try and run about every night during the work week, I should say, the 5-day work week. So I guess it's probably safe to say that those trips to the gym paid off this weekend when you had to really muscle that car around Friendship Motor Speedway.
It does, and really throughout the year, the more I race, I guess the more my body gets acclimated to the conditions, and really and truly the better shape I'm in just from driving. Some of those muscles you can't work in the gym. I'm sure you could, but I don't know how to. Let's put it that way.
You're looking, those that are watching on the Morning Bullring, some of the B-roll footage that was done by Robbie Johnston. What an awesome young man out of Mississippi, of the emotion that is dirt track racing, not just fast track, but dirt track racing. Downtown Michael Brown, why do you love both?
No telling, man. I need just fortunate to be a part of it.
Okay, well, let me kind of reiterate on that question here. There are so many dirt pro late model programs in the country. What does fast track mean to you, and how special was it to win that first race on Friday night, but then go for a hat trick? You're a hockey guy, Brandon Paul. A hat trick of winning 3 races in a row.
Well, you know, it's big to be a part of fast track. Just the simple fact that Stan and the whole crew has done so much for crate late model racing in general. I mean, he is, he has truly been a blessing to all the crate late model guys, you know, and then of course really stepping it up, putting up $50,000. I mean, you know, it's for this season. I mean, it's unreal, you know, to be a part of that association. It's so, you know, it's so well organized, and it's probably definitely one of the best crate associations there is. So it's awesome to be able to win those races with such caliber teams that participate in fast track.
Michael, you mentioned the organization, and one thing that I thought was pretty cool from this past weekend, and obviously you see the 4-wide salute a lot in dirt track racing especially, but that moment where you guys are carrying the American flags on Memorial Day weekend, fireworks shooting up, do you ever kind of find yourself in those type of moments and think, man, this is pretty cool what I'm doing?
It did. This weekend, it really did feel cool, man. It gave me goosebumps, especially to be able to carry that American flag from the front row. So, man, it was awesome, and it was a stellar weekend for me and my team, and I just hope I can carry the momentum into this weekend.
It is always so good to see, like you said, Brandon, the 4-wide salute, the fireworks, the pyro, the pomp and triumph, the excitement that Fast Track tries to provide. And I'm not just saying that as being the national announcer for the Fast Track Pro Late Model Series, but, you know, when you do the 4-wide salute and you get those fans on their feet, that is their moment. That is their moment for those drivers in those cars to say, Brandon, thank you. Thank you for spending your money during this tough world we live in sometimes, coming to the races and enjoying the entertainment. And again, we have got to try to find a way to, we got to save these short tracks. I mean, it's sad to hear what we found out about Friendship yesterday morning. We need to have the support of the fans, the drivers, and the sanctioning bodies, I believe, have got to try to put their differences aside, egos aside, Brandon, and work together to save racing. And that's not just dirt, asphalt, drag, everything for motorsports.
Oh, I 100% agree. And, Michael, we have another question for you coming in on our 5-Star Race Car Bodies Facebook feed. Brett Wheeler asked, does Michael prefer a tackier or slicker surface to race on?
I definitely like the drier, slicker type racetracks, just because I feel like most of the time that's gonna give you the most raciest surface. You know, usually when it's, especially with a crate motor per se, you know, when it's real tacky and wet, you know, those crate motors you can pretty much, as long as you have those Wesley Page racing shocks, you can pretty much just hold it wide open. So I definitely like the slicker stuff for the crate motor cars.
That was what I was going to also go into talking about. Also, Michael Brown, in addition to running pro late model racing with Fast Track with John Page and Wesley Page Racing in the Longhorn 32, you're racing super late models. Talk about what the rest of the plans are for 2019.
I'm gonna hit and miss, and you know, pretty much all the big races around here in the Billy Hicks owned number 79 super late model. He's provided me an awesome opportunity. This weekend we'll actually be at Lancaster Motor Speedway for the World of Outlaws show, and then the races that aren't filled with Billy's car, I'll be in Wesley Page's number 32 crate late model. So busy year for me, and I'm just very fortunate to have the opportunities that I've had. So, like I said, I just hope I can keep this momentum rolling and click off some more wins. Be nice.
So what is the next plans for Michael Brown? Do you move up to the Ultimate Super Late Model Series or run some different Super Late Model program, or do you try to do like what Davenport, Ferguson, and other great successors of Fast Track have done and continue to go to the next super level with the Ultimate Series?
Yes, sir. We've run quite a bit of the Ultimate races now. I really enjoy running those as well. Points racing is tough sometimes. I have a business, and it's just tough at the moment to miss work sometimes. So hopefully one of these days it'll get to the point to where I could miss work. But yeah, I enjoy running the Ultimate Series as well.
So he already dabbles in supers while being successful in pro late models. Michael Brown, thank you so much, buddy, for being on the Morning Bullring. Continued success throughout the year, and good luck at the next race. Good luck at Lancaster this weekend.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Downtown Michael Brown, 3 wins in a row, a hat trick, if you would say, in the world of hockey for you, Brandon, and a great run for him at Friendship Speedway this weekend.
Yeah, anytime you can win 3 races in a row, it doesn't matter what type of race car you're in, what series, what racetrack. It's an impressive feat. It's something worth celebrating. Unfortunately, I think he sounded like he might have been a little too sore to celebrate too much.
You know what? I had to sleep all day yesterday just to rest myself. Here is a look at the new Speed 51 network, 100% short track racing, the Speed 51 website. Look at everything from the Morning Bullring to all of the video highlights from dirt, asphalt, late models, modified, street stocks, and more. All of the cool things that are available with features, trending, how you can order pay-per-views like Bristol coming up this weekend. Seekonk is also posted there. Speed51.com. If you are a fan of 100% short track racing, there is the live video stream schedule of how you can be able to check out what events are going to be broadcasted. And again, whether you are on the video network, whether you're part of Speed 51 network or the pay-per-view packages, it's something for everybody.
An important thing to note for those watching, you see us scrolling down through this list. Every single race that says premium network subscription required.
That's right.
You can watch. No additional purchase necessary. You can watch as a premium subscriber. All of those races, I think we're at least over 80 right now, if not more. But just races from the Northeast, Midwest, everywhere, dirt, pavement, modifieds, late models, anything you want pretty much you can find on the Speed 51 network.
We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we will, of course, get ready to get you set for the next hour of the Morning Bullring here in just a few moments. Again, great guests on the program for the first hour. Hard to believe it's already flew by. We'll be back with more of the Morning Bullring in just a moment on Speed51.com.
Hey race fans, download the new Speed51.com app today. Breaking news, feature stories, the Unfiltered podcast, live race coverage, schedules, and more right at your fingertips. Download it today on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
It's Bristol, baby! The Short Track U.S. Nationals return to Bristol Motor Speedway. May 31st and June 1st. For tickets, visit bristolmotorspeedway.com/tickets.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes. Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
Welcome back to the Morning Bullring on this Tuesday edition. Brandon, Wesley, Mark, Zach, And now we get ready for the news of motorsports. Good morning, Tom Ryan. Welcome back from Florida.
Wesley, how you doing today? Great to be here. Great to be back. We got Pass North 150 up at Thunder Road. D-Griff out battle TJ Shaw. What a great race up there. A lot of side by side. Awesome to see all the new improvements at the racetrack, and Thunder Road. It's an amazing facility. Also up there, Mr. Corliss in Victory Lane once again for the ACT late models at Thunder Road, and then also the Wheelman Series, Citrus County.
That was in Florida. What a show they put on. I saw some of that on the highlights of the Speed 51. Yes, sir.
That's right. Anyway, moving on. Like we just saw in the last segment, downtown Michael Brown, the winner up at Friendship. 3 out of the 4 races he won, and the other one was won by Carson Ferguson. That's all I have right now for the news, and back to you guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom.
You mentioned Jason Corliss.
Yes.
That guy, he's on a hot streak. Man, they haven't raced much this year, but dating back to the Milk Bowl, he hasn't lost an ACT type late model race at Thunder Road. He won earlier this year, the 150 lap ACT season opener at Thunder Road. Obviously won the Milk Bowl last year, and then picked up to the Memorial Day Classic, and he whipped up on him yesterday. That team, that Burnett Scrap Metals team, they're firing on all cylinders right now.
We're going to go back to the PFC Performance Line, and joining us on the Morning Bullring right now is the defending 2018 past national champion, of course, driver the number 12 entry, and he's also got a Team PFC sponsor on that car, so it goes with the phone line and the car. Driver is Derek Griffith. Derek, good morning. Welcome to the Bullring. Talk about your big win at Thunder Road.
Good morning, guys. Always glad to be here. It felt good, to finally get a win there. It was when they paved the racetrack, we were there, and I think we set the fastest lap time ever around Thunder Road ever, like out of any sort of race car. And that day we just did not race, good at all. Same thing last year. We were really, really good, and just fell short on the race run. So it felt good to have a good car in the race. It was weird. It was we were like a 5th or 6th place car on the timesheets all the time, and I was telling them, like, guys, I think the thing's really fast. I don't know why we're that slow, and it was good to show that it was actually pretty good out there.
Derek, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe one of the first times you went to Thunder Road, I believe I saw your car. It was during practice or something. Went off the backstretch. Am I wrong there, or am I thinking of something else, or was that you?
Yeah, that was us. We broke a Panhard bar bracket, and I flew right off of turn 2 where the wall is now.
Now, as we're watching the highlights right now on the Speed 51 network from Thunder Road Pro All-Star Series 150, you can see them now on the Speed 51 network, monthly or yearly subscribers. Derek, I know you and your dad are big fans. I know you probably have already watched the highlights.
Yeah, yep. It's always good for us at least to go back and kind of take some notes on, it's always good to see from a different perspective. So I'm always keen to take a look at the highlights and make sure everything went down how we thought it went down.
And also, Derek, on the new highlights here, we're seeing something in video form that we haven't, or we're seeing for the first or second time, the outside wall at Thunder Road. Chris Michaud and Pat Malone, we mentioned the renovations that they're making to that facility. How did you like the wall? Did you have to race any differently because of it? And just what are your overall thoughts on what they've done with the wall on the backstretch?
Thunder Road is a place that's always really clean, really neat and tidy. They really don't mess around too much with stuff. It's every time we go there, we're excited to go there. So
The wall itself didn't really change much, at least on like the racing surface. It changed like the visual aspect of it. The track looked a lot different when I first got out there, but in all honesty, I don't think it really changed too much of the racing surface. You don't really end up really too close to that outside wall on the back stretch, and obviously everyone knows Thunder Road, the Widowmaker on the front stretch, has always been there. So that's the spot you really got to worry about.
That was the question I was just getting ready to ask you, Derek Griffith. My goodness, you read my mind, brother. All the way up north in Carolina. Do you miss the Widowmaker?
That Widowmaker, that thing is crazy. I've hit it a couple times in the past, and I'm lucky that I didn't end up on my lid. But it's funny that you just have to kind of drive up off turn 4. Just it gets real tight, so you just got to keep that in mind, every lap, because if you don't, then you will hit it. It's pretty simple. If you're not paying attention to that thing, you will hit it.
Brandon and Derek, racing is about change. It's about evolving. And, of course, everyone knows the story of what is the Thunder Road International, the Thunder Road Speed Bowl. It was created by veteran broadcaster friend, somebody I've worked with in the booth, Ken Squire, and he has developed that, and now his time has passed running that track, and he's turned it over to new people, a new leaf, and there's so many. I love seeing tracks with new renovations and new advancements and things that are done. You got to update your equipment. You got to put in new fencing. You got to put in retaining walls. You got to put in PA systems, things to make the track be more up to date, and I think they've done that there. Awesome video.
Oh, they 100% have. And Derek, as we were watching those highlights, and as I was watching the race yesterday live on the Speed 51 network, it seemed like early in the race you were just sitting back, being patient, and then all of a sudden it was like a 3 or 4 lap run. You got to the outside, I think it was of DJ Shaw, and I swear you passed 5 cars in 5 laps on the outside. Just kind of take me through that run that you had there.
Yeah, we were really good. Like you said, we kind of got drugged to the back. Like, I think at one point I was dead last, and I kind of just rode around, like picked some guys off, and those guys were kind of like parking it on the bottom, trying like so hard to just stay on the bottom in line. And before they paved it, I remember like I loved the outside there. Like I would be on the outside by myself. I love racing on the outside. And I'm like, said over the radio, I'm like, guys, I think I can just pass them on the outside. I don't know what they're doing. So, Dolly, my spotter, was like, go for it. So I set it up on the outside, and it was definitely a lot better than I expected it to be. And it stuck. And, we passed those guys up on the outside, like, way better than I expected. And I actually even caught up to Ranstrom and set up on the outside of him too, and passed him for the lead. I was like, the outside hadn't been there all day, and I did not expect it in the least bit.
We are again talking to the driver, Derek Griffith, the Pass North Thunder Road Speed Bowl winner. Your questions are welcome in the chat box on our social media, of course, at speed51.com on Facebook, while you're checking out the website, speed51.com. Jason at Domi asked the question, my apologies. Does Derek prefer a quarter-mile Bullring or the longer half-mile tracks? Thank you, Jason Domi, for your question. Again, what is the answer, Derek?
Each track has their own, personality. I love a racetrack like Thompson, and then I also love a racetrack like Thunder Road or Star Speedway. I get some of those places that we just don't really do that well at, and that are sometimes just not fun to race at. But, we pretty much don't have too much of a preference at, I pick and choose which are my favorites.
Well, Derek, I know one track that you're looking for a little bit better performance at and to break through for that pass victory is Oxford Plains Speedway, coming up next Sunday, home of the Oxford 250. I know a good run there would be very, very big for you to come away with. So how are things shaping up? How confident are you and your team heading into Oxford Plains Speedway next Sunday?
We're pretty happy. We ran there, a few weeks ago, about a month ago, and we started 17th or 18th and ended up 6th on the racetrack. And, you get those races sometimes where you just luck out and kind of end up where you are, and get lucky and finish in the top 5 or 6. And that wasn't one of them. We kind of worked our way there, and the car was good. We just needed that little bit more to keep up with those top 5 guys. And that this Fury race car that we've been running has just been amazing to us. So I think we're headed in the right direction, especially up at Oxford after we were there last, and I think we have a shot to be a little bit better than what we normally are. I think 6 was like my best finish in a pass race there. So, that's pretty good for the first time the Fury car hit the racetrack there.
And you are looking live now at a shot of last year's event at Oxford Plains Speedway. Remember, if you want to take a look at races from years past or even longer than that, it's in the archives. It is in the Speed 51 Video Network archives. And Derek, my question to you is this, bud. Do you ever go to Speed 51 to the video and maybe look at races and look at tracks to try to help you get intel, look at what the tracks, demographics look like to help you have a better shot at winning with your race car?
Oh yeah, always. I mean, even that track that I was at, kind of like I said earlier, it's good to get a different perspective on things. There's going to be that one guy who's doing something a little different than everyone else, and it's good to take notes and figure it out. And even times where I messed up and I just got to see it on video for me to understand it. It's incredible. Like you said, it's in the archives. You guys have in-car, out-of-car, have interviews and all kinds of stuff that we scroll through every now and then. So it's good. It's a good thing.
So that's awesome that it shows that even drivers look at the Speed 51 Network archives, live races to help them, Brandon, prepare for events of the magnitude. And again, Oxford Plains Speedway, the next event for the Pass North Series. I got a question for you. Also, Derek, now you live up north. Are you envious of the drivers that live down in the south because you only have like maybe 3 or 4 months of racing to try to knock out before the season's over for you?
Yes and no. It's cool because we have, I think probably within a 3-hour radius of us. I mean, we probably have well over 10 racetracks that we could go run at any weekend, really, as long as they have some sort of pro stock division or touring division up here. So that's pretty cool. Down south, there's definitely a lot of racetracks, but I don't think there's that many in the area. But like you said, it's cool for them to be racing almost year round. That's why we go down to places like New Smyrna for Speed Weeks and Hickory and Dillon and all these places where we can run that pretty much on like a national level and basically year round.
Derek, we mentioned Oxford coming up next Sunday. Obviously, DJ Shaw has been very good this year. You guys had a heck of a battle for the victory at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park in the North Series opener. DJ went up to Oxford. He won, then you guys were battling. Is it safe to say that DJ is the guy to beat when you guys go to Oxford Sunday, or is there maybe somebody else you have your eye on besides yourself?
I don't think we're really in 100% contention as one of the drivers or teams to win up there yet. I'd love to be, but DJ is just really on the ball this year. Those guys are running good. They got something that's working for them, and congrats to them. They're going really good. But Oxford's a tough little place. It's hard to like pinpoint on who exactly is going to be the top guy there. You have times where look at Wayne Helliwell a couple of years ago. He won every race there for I think a year probably a year. He won just about every race. And then same thing with Curtis Jerry. I mean, it's the same scenario. Glenn Luce was going really good there a few years back. So it's kind of like who's on the hot spot. And it's going to be interesting to see who it is this year. I think DJ's definitely on a hot spell everywhere. But it would be interesting to see how he does at Oxford.
Derek, one thing I thought was cool yesterday, watching you take that Polish victory lap, obviously this year for the second consecutive year, a member of the Kowicki Driver Development Program, and this was your first win to go towards those points. How big is that for you? And just talk about your involvement with the Kowicki Driver Development Program again this year.
Oh, it was awesome. Last year we ran at Thompson, and I got my first win for the Kowicki program, and they wouldn't let me do the victory lap, so I was a little bummed at that. So I said, I got to get it done this year to, give the salute pretty much. And The Kawiki program has just been awesome to go through. We had so much fun last year. I made a bunch of new friends, and it's just been great. The whole Kawiki program has just been incredible for short track racing in general. So I think Dillner said it perfect on one of the Bullring programs where we got announced. He's like, what other driver development program pays the drivers to develop? It's definitely helpful, and it doesn't just focus on track stuff too. It focuses on and off track, community involvement, and they want you to be a well-rounded driver, not just someone who can go out and win every week, and not just someone who can go out and spend a bunch of hours in the community service section.
And as they say in the lyrics to the song Eminence Front by The Who, as we are watching yours truly, all dressed up, Derek Griffith, and going up on the stage, and Bob Dillner all dressed up as well, dressed to kill, as they say. Just talk about being one of those drivers that were chosen to be a part of the Kawiki development program. And what did Alan Kawiki mean to you, being that 1992 NASCAR champion and tragically losing his life, but what so many people have done since 92, 93 to keep that legacy alive?
It was really cool for us to be part of the program as he got, inaugurated into the Hall of Fame, and now he is, in the Hall of Fame. So we got to go to the Charlotte NASCAR Hall of Fame there and all that stuff, and it was really cool just to be there right before he was about to get, put in. We got to see his old suit, and Tom Roberts, TR, he got to see some special old artifacts, as you'd call them, from the old days, and it was a cool moment to see. We got to see his old Hooters suit and stuff like that. So Alan was a guy who I think everyone in short track racing could look up to, because he made it there on his own. He did it his way. That was his deal. He didn't spend his way there. He didn't he got lucky, but it was lucky because he worked hard. So, it kind of goes to say you can determine your own luck, and I think he did. So it's definitely cool to be able to look up to him and be part of his program.
You mentioned the off-track stuff and the community involvement. I know that's something you're kind of focusing more on this year to up your game with the Kawiki Driver Development Program. So what exactly are you planning to do as far as that community involvement goes?
We don't have like a 100% set plan. We've been trying to give it some more effort this year. Last year we donated a truck to wounded, it was Warriors in Need. This year we worked with Make-A-Wish already. We've been doing some kids bike raffles over at the racetrack, and that kind of stuff. We're still got some plans up our sleeve that we're going to try to focus on more towards these upcoming months. We want to kind of spread it out so it doesn't look like we're just jamming it all out in a short period of time. So stay tuned for sure. We'll have some good stuff coming.
Jason Domi has another question for you, Derek Griffith, and the question is, has the start of the Granite State Pro Stock Series helped the past series grow up in the Northeast?
Yes and no. They're both very similar divisions. They're not the same, and you'll get those guys who will dabble between the two. I mean, I started off in the Granite State Pro Stock Series, and we ended up in Pass afterward, and I think the competition level is different. I think the racing level is a little different, but they're both pretty similar. You'll see a lot of guys bouncing back and forth, and sometimes we bounce back and forth as well, especially in places like Thompson. We ran Hudson last year and stuff, and I think they're both pretty beneficial to each other when they do work together.
The thing I like about those two series, Derek, is that they're not really competing against each other. Like you said, they're similar in the fact that the race cars are kind of the same. But as far as the series, they're kind of two different things. Obviously, you mentioned the competition level in Pass, maybe a little bit higher. But as far as the cost involved, maybe your low buck racer who wants to race a Pro Stock or a super late model goes out and plays with the Granite State Pro Stock Series. Is that kind of what you would agree with?
Yeah, for sure. And it even comes down to like the smaller stuff. Like they have different tires. They have the shock rules are all different. They're gonna go to basically a crate motor and everything with Granite State, and they're all great people in both series. We've made a lot of friends with all the officials and everything in both series, and like you said, they're just separate. You have those few guys that will bounce in between, but for the most part, you have those guys that are Granite State guys, and then you have those guys who are past guys. It's cool to see them, kind of separate from each other.
Hey, D-Griff, Bob Dillner here, jumping in on the morning Bullring a little bit because my buddy D-Griff was here. I had to get on the show. And, I love watching all of you guys on the Kowicki Driver Development Program in terms of the camaraderie that you have. I know there's a little bit of rivalry there amongst yourselves as well because you compete for a big prize at the end of the year. What's that been like with the camaraderie as well as a little bit of the rivalry that you guys have brewing?
It's been fun, it's cool. We have, like you said, we're competing against each other, but we're all friends. I mean, we got to hang around with Justin Carroll last year down at, it was me, Cole Butcher, Justin, Molly Helmuth, and we hung out and drank beers in the hotel lobby till 2 a.m. after the banquet. So, it was fun. We had a lot of fun. It was cool to, I run a small business here in town, and I got to help out Justin a little bit for one of those races a few weeks back, and it was cool to be able to. He ended up winning with us on the side of the car, so that was super cool for us to be able to help.
Wait a second, Toast doesn't even look like he's tall enough to be of age to drink. I mean,
I think he's older than
me. I love the fact that you and Louis Mechelitis, your crew chief, you guys are cut from a little bit of an old school. And I know you got that new chassis and so forth, and things seem to be going better. When are we going to see you back down south, competing some more, breaking out of your realm a little bit, and going for the victories like you did at New Smyrna and you were able to accomplish earlier this year?
We don't have like a super set schedule where we want to run the whole Pass North schedule in the past, national deal. I always talk about it. We always want to run as much as we can. The last few weeks have been pretty tough on us. We've been tore up, 3 weeks in a row. We had to fix the nose, and I had to run to North Carolina after Star Speedway. We got tore up pretty good. I had to go down to a Fury race car, pick up a new rear end, and man, it was like a Monday. I left Monday, came back Tuesday afternoon, and it was just like a very long week for us. But we don't really have like a super set schedule. Like I said, we kind of eye up all kinds of races all over the place, and we'd love to run a little bit more. So we'll see.
Hey, D-Griff, we're going to bring up a photo right now on the morning Bullring, and I got to ask you about this. And I know, when you watch it, it's a little, delayed. Triple X, a bunch of trophies on the roof, and long hair. D-Griff, what's that all about?
Oh, man. So
Triple X Junior,
might I
add.
My dad run enduro cars at Hudson Speedway since I think my first time I was at the racetrack, I was like 6 months old, and I got a picture of me sitting in a little baby carriage at Hudson Speedway. So his enduro number was always Triple X for forever, because no one had it. No one had, letters instead of numbers on the race car. So so I watched him run that forever, and I was 12 years old, and I didn't want to play football anymore. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go racing, Dad. He's like, all right, let's go racing. So we bought a $600 Volkswagen Golf, and we went out and set off to the kids division at Hudson Speedway, and I wanted my number to be, like my dad's, and we went out and won. We won our first ever heat race and our first ever feature race, and my dad's like, at that point, I knew it was over. I knew we were racing. That was it.
Well, Derek, I think the very important question here is there any chance we can get that hairdo back at some point?
Yeah. I can challenge him. He's got to bring it back.
And my question is, was the Triple X made out of aluminum foil for your number?
Wait, forget about the Triple X. I want to concentrate on the hair here. D-Griff, stick with Brandon's question here. Will we challenge you enough to bring it back? Do we have to start a poll on the Speed 51 Twitter as to whether or not you want Derek Griffiths, whatever you want to call it, that hair back when you were a kid? Can we get it to return?
This is definitely a possibility. It's funny. They nicknamed me at Hudson Speedway the rock star because of the hair. So
Wow.
we'll see. If you guys can get a crazy poll going, I'll consider
Well, you
it
grow
for sure.
your
Let's
hair.
go.
You grow your hair, Jared Griffith. I'm getting a haircut this afternoon. A matter of fact,
Zach
so
Evans.
you
You have that like that 10W40 look right
I
now
am
going
so
on.
tired of it, Bob. I can't make my hair look right in the morning. But I wanted to know about the numbers. The Triple X. Those look like they were made out of aluminum foil.
Yeah, there were just some chrome style numbers. We actually ran an orange car with like black and chrome numbers for like a couple of years. So
You know what? I got it. It looks like that silver electrical tape that they use for you know what I'm talking about, Bob?
You can't interrupt Wesley unless you know what you're talking about.
That's what I'm trying. I couldn't think of the
Well,
name.
then let him go.
It's the silver electrical tape is what it looked like.
Oh man.
D-Griffs, you see what I mean? Wesley interrupts you while you're telling a good story here and just interrupts the flow. Look at
I
that.
had a squirrel moment. I'm sorry.
So what we need right now is Zach Evans. We need to get this Twitter poll going.
Yes.
Do we want to see this haircut? Or
And we want the
lack
two
of a haircut?
pictures. Yep, absolutely. Tom's going to send it to Zach right now and get that going after we're off the air.
Derek, how long will it take to grow?
It'll probably be, it'll be
By
at
the
least
Snowball
5 or 6
Derby?
months probably till it's long enough to be pretty long. Like not that long, but it'll be long.
We will follow the progress on speed51.com as one of our main stories this year if you do it.
If I do end up growing it out, I'll donate it at the end of the year. I'll give it to Locks of Love or something.
Do you think your girlfriend would dig it?
No, she would hate it. I might be girlfriendless at
So
the end of the year.
the goal will be for him and Paul Schaefer to get a picture together
At the Snowball
with
Derby.
crazy hair at the Snowball Derby.
I think that's a great idea. You know, Paulie will probably like dye it like purple or something like that. But, you know, D-Griff, you're a good sport. I appreciate it, dude. I just wanted to bust in here because my boy D-Griff was on. So we're going to be talking a little bit with Bristol Motor Speedway in a couple of minutes. I'll be coming on for that as well. But I got to support my Kowicki driver development, man.
I appreciate it, Bob. Always fun talking to you.
And they have decided to ask him to grow his hair.
That's right. That's the challenge.
Wow. Man, it's like, I digress.
What about you, Wesley? Can we get you to grow your hair out?
No, it is not happening. This afternoon, I tried all last week to go to get my hair cut, and I didn't do it. Probably this morning, when we finish up with the Bullring, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get this hair chopped off.
Can you get it completely
You heard
cut?
what Bob said about my hair also. So, I mean, like, really?
Well, you know, you look. What's that guy from Little Rascals right now?
Oh,
I mean,
my
he kind of
goodness.
looks like the guy from Little Rascals with the hair parted just so. Alfalfa, is it? He's got it just parted just so. He's been telling us he's getting a haircut for like 3 weeks now. It's not like he's, you know, I mean, he's been down here, not even home, chilling out, doing some radio here and there. But, you know, instead
That's right,
of-
they can't see me.
Instead of flirting with the girls like I see him do at all the racetracks, he maybe should go get a haircut.
And then maybe that other part you mentioned would be a little bit more successful.
Wait a second. Excuse me? Flirting with the girls? When?
I think it was Lakeview Motor Speedway.
Oh, we saw you up there. Don't
I've got a picture on my phone of you and somebody just 2 days ago at Friendship.
Wesley, we love you, brother.
Yeah, I'm trying
love
to
you.
figure
He's
out.
speechless.
I'm
We've got him speechless twice.
I'm really trying to figure out what y'all are talking about because, like, I'm single and proud of it. I don't understand.
When you come to Speed 51, you open yourself up for all sorts of fun.
Yeah, well, I'm blushing. I'm blushing. So,
Jim,
Yes.
I'm looking at our Facebook here. Commenting.
is Derek still with us? Did he hang up?
No, he's still listening.
No, he's not here.
Oh,
we hung up on him.
he hung up. Okay.
Wow, he didn't even get to say goodbye.
That's okay. Goodbyes are overrated.
Jim Oshield says go full Rico Abreu mullet for D-Griff.
Rico.
You can just buy one though. You don't
No,
even
that's-
You
have
can't
to.
make up something. You got to repeat something that happened from history.
True.
Okay. I had a mullet. I could do the Rico mullet from back in the
Let's
day.
find some of your pictures.
Oh, actually, I think Angie just found one a while ago. Yeah, don't text Angie.
Oh, wow.
It might not have been Angie. Actually, I think it was one of my kids.
Angie, check your Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't have her phone number, but I'll Twitter her here. Let's see if she'll answer it. Yeah. Well, you had a mullet, Bob?
I did have a mullet. I was Bobby Sticks from WNYT. Hard Rocking Countdown, number 10, Cherry Pie from Warrant. Back in the day, that was my deal. I still listen to Hair Nation. Absolutely.
I love Hair Nation. I love 80s music.
Yeah. Well, you're banned from Hair Nation until you get better hair now.
So if I get it cut off, I'm good.
Are we ready to go to break yet? We need a break for sure. We'll be right back with more for the Morning Bullring, and we'll visit with Bristol Motor Speedway and talk about the short track U.S. Nationals.
Hey race fans, download the new Speed51.com app today. Breaking news, feature stories, the unfiltered podcast, live race coverage, schedules, and more right at your fingertips. Download it today on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
It's Bristol, baby. The short track U.S. Nationals return to Bristol Motor Speedway. May 31st and June 1st. For tickets, visit bristolmotorspeedway.com/tickets.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes. Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
Welcome back to the Morning Bullring on this special Tuesday edition, because we took off yesterday in observance of Memorial Day on the Speed 51 Video Network, speed51.com, Speed51 on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter as well. Wesley, Brandon, Bob is in the house now too. And we're going to go to the PFC Performance Line, and we are going to talk now to one of the people behind Bristol Motor Speedway. It's Bristol, baby. It is the Short Track U.S. Nationals, the 3rd annual edition. And Bob Dillner, we have got a very special person on the line that is a first-time caller at that.
Yeah, Drew Bedard from the Bristol Motor Speedway, and we're fortunate and honored to be able to work with the Bristol Motor Speedway on a lot of different things, honestly. We want to make sure that you tune in on the Bristol Motor Speedway Facebook page for the Speed Show with me. Yes, you get to see
Put your helmet on.
That's right. We talk about NASCAR, short track racing, and it's Bristol, baby. But Drew Bedard on the line with us to talk about the short track U.S. Nationals. I want to know, Drew, obviously you had the big dance there about a month ago with the Cup Series coming to town, but how pumped up, how amped up are the people from the staff at Bristol Motor Speedway for the short track U.S. Nationals?
Well, good morning, guys. We're fired up, man. We love the short track U.S. Nationals. It's one of our favorite events, and ever since we added it a couple years ago, it's just such a blast. We love this grassroots short track racing. It's so excited about the 4 series that are coming to race, and excited to have you guys up. You know, what a great deal for fans. Not only is it pretty inexpensive to sit in the stands at just $15 and $5 for kids, but, you know, get that pay-per-view package, you know, just $19.99, and, you know, that with everything that comes with it on your side, that great broadcast. I mean, there's a good chance we're going to be on for, 10 or 11 hours on Saturday. I mean, that's going to be a blast. But we're pumped up. Can't wait for everybody to join us. We hope this thing continues to grow and get bigger, because it is a show, and we love watching it. We know the fans in this area love it too.
Drew, real quickly, talk about how the concept came about bringing this short track U.S. Nationals to fruition at Bristol Motor Speedway. And my question is this: is it kind of seeing what the success was of the World Short Track Championship at the dirt track at Charlotte with another Speedway Motorsports Incorporated track, and just saying, hey, if they can do it with dirt, why can't we do it at Bristol?
Absolutely. I think, well, let's start from a little bit of a higher vision of, I think Marcus Smith, our CEO, really wants to see our facilities expand, diversify, do more events. And obviously we have this world-class short track
right here in the hills of East Tennessee. And it's, why not use it more often? Obviously, that when NASCAR comes to town, we put on a big show. But yes, we've seen the success at a lot of our sister tracks. And for those that don't know, of course, we're part of Speedway Motorsports and our 8 facilities around the country. But yeah, I think Marcus, our CEO, and Jerry, our general manager, they want to see us do more events. And 3 years ago, I think it was kind of a group, not only from Cars and CRA, but just some of our friends and then networking in Nashville and Knoxville and obviously in the Tri-Cities area. But it was about how do we put more cars on this short track? I mean, it is a blast, and everybody, and we wanted to put, almost like a Super Bowl type event on for short track racing. And we felt like, we know that there's some obviously huge events like the Snowball Derby and others, but we wanted to put on a big event, and we wanted to use our property. And, what better way to use it than put good old grassroots short track racing on it.
Drew, we're looking at some of the highlights from last year's super late model race, and it's a tri-sanction race there between the Cars Tour, the Southern Super Series, and the ARCA CRA Super Series. But it was a blast watching those rocket ships with wheels go around the racetrack. Right now we're watching Jake Crum and Rafael Lessard in the 51, Jared Fryer involved in a battle on the racetrack. How electrifying are those super late models for a guy like you who doesn't get to see them all too often?
Yeah, the speeds are incredible, and I think that's what people have to look forward to this weekend. And that's the thing that shocks us every time when they show up on the track, is that you're talking about, speeds that are higher than the Cup cars. And when you actually see that unleashed at Bristol and the high banking, the G-force, it's insane. I mean, it's so much fun to watch. The last 2 years, I've come away with nothing but a smile because – not only from the super lates, but, all the way down to the compacts. It's just fun to watch these cars go around. And yeah, especially at the speeds the super lates are going around. I mean, it's insane. And that's why we want to tell people, get a ticket, come on out, sit in the stands this Saturday, because you're going to see a show. And the great part about it, Bob, is that, a lot of people, I think, in this day and age of NASCAR, it's a little bit different than how it used to be. And I think when you say how it used to be is that, these homegrown teams that are bringing their cars to the facility, and I mean, emotions run high. I mean, you're probably showing some highlights and recap packages that, saw a little bit of blood last year. And, people get emotional about these cars, and they don't want to tear them up. They're working on them back in the shop in their hometowns. And I mean, it's intense. I think that's the best way to put it.
And again, it's going to be an exciting event coming up this Friday and Saturday. Now, Friday is practice day for the event. Saturday is race day. You condensed the program from like a 3-day show to now one big epic day of racing. Talk about why you done that, Drew, for Bristol Motor Speedway.
Well, we want to see it. We want to see it continue to grow, and also we think for the teams and families that are driving in. Obviously, this is a huge. As far as the teams and the families and the groups that are coming in to race in this event, we wanted to, hopefully make it a little bit more inexpensive for them, but then also for the fans. We want to keep growing it from a grandstand basis, obviously the pay-per-view side. And we felt like if we could get it all condensed into one day that's full of, practices and qualifying, and then we get to the 5 o'clock start where we'll be doing all these races back to back, and then we're going to go into the nighttime. We just felt like that was the best show for everybody involved, and we hope that this new format will be successful.
You're hearing from Drew Berdard of Bristol Motor Speedway right now. If you have any questions, 5-Star Race Car Bodies Facebook feed, any questions about the Short Track U.S. Nationals, let us know, comment, let us know your thoughts. A big weekend. And Drew, you mentioned this earlier, you alluded to it a little bit, but $14.99, that is the ticket price for a grandstand ticket to watch over 200 race cars. And who knows how many races we're going to end up having with the A mains and B mains and all of that. Yeah. But $14.99, that's a heck of a deal. Kind of talk about or tell me how you guys came up with that price point, because that is a deal for short track racing enthusiasts.
Yeah, I think it's looking at some of the other events that we do back at Bristol Dragway or some of the other ways that we use the Speedway. We know that that's a price that families in this area and hopefully from the region that's palatable. That's something that they can afford. And I think, you look at Kingsport Speedway right down the road, and we wanted to make this more appealing for everybody. So yeah, $15 to get in for adults and $5 for kids. And that's 12 and under. And I mean, we just want to make it really accessible for families. We feel like this is what, could maybe, obviously seeing the heroes of the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, Truck Series. Obviously that's a highlight for kids, but also this is maybe something to hook them into racing, to really see that, that could be me out there in a few years. I could go run go-karts. I could come up and run compacts, and then you could do it right here at Bristol Motor Speedway. So the price point is to make it more appealing for families, more appealing for this area, and hopefully we'll see a really, really good crowd on Saturday.
It's really cool, honestly, to see all that you're doing. And of course, the Vors Compact Series is a big part of what you're doing at the Short Track U.S. Nationals this weekend. I know they were at about 80 in terms of entries, and we're looking at some of the highlights last year from Bristol Motor Speedway right now of the Vors Compact Touring Series. And we'll be talking to Dan Redmond a little later on the show. But how about seeing these four-cylinder race cars, these real grassroots racers literally buzzing by their sound around the high banks of the last great Coliseum?
It is awesome, man. That's one of my favorite shows to watch is the Compact Series. And I remember the paint schemes from last year, too. Just a highlight for me in particular. I remember there was like a DW throwback. There was a Ricky Bobby with the Cougar on the hood. We love that series and so excited to see that there's, 80 plus entered into that series. And you're right about the buzzing. But again, going back to the family appeal, I think kids they just love it. That's such a fun series to watch. So you go all the way up to that super late series that's going to run those high speeds and just be real intense. Some up and coming stars of probably NASCAR up really soon. And then you look all the way down to the Compact Series, really just those homegrown teams out there having fun and looking for that Bristol sword. They want to go home with that. They want to go home and say, I won at Bristol Motor Speedway at the Short Track U.S. Nationals. So we love all the series coming to town. Excited to see that Vors Compact Series have such a high entry point. And I think it's just like we've talked about the whole time. I mean, it's just going to be a show, and people got to strap in and get ready, man, because when we open the gate, there's some cars that are coming to play.
So much going on at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Get your tickets for the Short Track U.S. Nationals, bristolmotorspeedway.com/tickets. We have the new Thunder Valley Amphitheater. That's going to be a lot of fun. July 27th, Alabama coming to town. Of course, we have the Thunder Valley NHRA Nationals coming to town in mid-June. So much going on leading up to the Bass Pro Shops NRA Night Race, Saturday, August 17th, under the lights for the NASCAR Cup Series. So much fun to be had. The one thing that I like about the Bristol Motor Speedway is whenever you come there, there's a lot of pizzazz, a lot of atmosphere in regards to what we see there. And we saw that at the Short Track U.S. Nationals last year. And we were able to capture that last year with our cameras, Colossus TV, everybody getting pumped and ready. The adrenaline just seems to be pumped up when we get to the Short Track U.S. Nationals, Drew.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for mentioning all the other events. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to do as much as we can. And again, that goes back to kind of the vision of our CEO, Marcus Smith, and our general manager, Jerry Caldwell, is, you're going to start to see more events at Bristol Motor Speedway and Bristol Dragway. And we want to assure all those folks out there that are watching and listening right now that Bristol Dragway is staying exactly the way it is. The new branding of the Thunder Valley Amphitheater is just to give it, we're going to just kind of reskin it for that first Alabama concert. We've got some more concert announcements coming up soon. That one has really gone like gangbusters so far. But like you said, the NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals coming Father's Day weekend to Bristol Dragway. Always a great showcase for those guys and so accessible. Every ticket's a pit pass. And then obviously as we lead into August and we get ready for the night race, still a tentpole event for NASCAR, a key season moment, much like the Coca-Cola 600 was this past weekend. And I think we all have to tip our caps to, and I want to tip my cap to my friends at Charlotte Motor Speedway for such a great weekend and a great patriotic statement for what they did down there, and really good racing too. I mean, the Coca-Cola 600, man, it went late, but boy, was it fun to watch. And seeing Martin Truex in that Bass Pro Shops ride. That red, white, and blue machine get into victory lane was so cool, and Martin's so genuine. So a lot of exciting things coming up at our property, but excited to see the health of NASCAR right now. And I think you saw a good crowd, and obviously, great patriotism that we saw with the moment of silence the other night. So a lot of good positive indicators right now, and we're excited.
We are again talking to Drew Beddard. He is the man behind the marketing PR department at Bristol Motor Speedway. Remember, the third annual Short Track U.S. Nationals will be on the Speed 51 Network pay-per-view. And, of course, again, seeing it live and in person, $14.99. You can't beat that, as Brandon said, for the cost. So I got two questions for you here. We can kind of put it into one, Drew. First off, will the PJ1 or HVT substance be put on the racetrack for the Short Track Nationals, like what you see being done at the Cup and Xfinity events for this weekend? And also, how special are you now knowing that in addition to all the network coverage that you get for NASCAR on television, being on MAV TV for Grassroots Motorsports with the Super Late Model, and now the Compacts on Short Track America coming up later in the year?
Yeah, well, let me address that one first. We're psyched about the MAV TV partnership, and obviously Bob and everybody, all you guys at Speed 51, going to help us produce that, and we're very excited about seeing that on MAV TV. I think MAV TV is such a great showcase for all forms of motorsports, and so we're really excited to get that program produced and kind of get it out there. Now, I think that will ignite some fans for the August race and kind of get them, get the juices flowing, get the blood flowing for some short track racing, and make it exciting for people leading up to our August NASCAR weekend. As far as the PJ1, I don't believe so, but that's a great question, and I will ask today, but I don't believe so. We had some cars out on track last week, and from what I remember from last year, I think we kind of leave the racetrack with all that rubber on it and all that PJ1 that was all built up from the spring NASCAR Cup weekend. We kind of leave that on the surface. It's still, that low groove. It makes it appealing, and I know a lot of the series that are here this weekend will be running that. But I will, if there's anything different to my answer, I'll respond on the Facebook feed or I'll get you guys the news. But I think the racing, no matter what, is down on the surface. I think Bristol has produced, not only from last year, we were number one at Jeff Gleck's poll for the NASCAR race, for the night race last year. And we had a great spring race weekend as well. And the racing just continues to get better and better. The surface gets, a little bit more weathered and a little bit older. And I think people are getting, used to it. And it's just, the high banks of Bristol, I think everybody comes here and they can run a line. And, that low line has really come in over the last few years. And hopefully they'll be digging right on that bottom line this weekend.
Hey, Drew, and also somebody coming up here next on the Morning Bullring is going to be Steve Wallace, somebody that knows Bristol very well.
Absolutely. We love the Wallace family, man. Obviously, Rusty and his automotive group were the sponsor of the event last year, and Steve Wallace has a lot of great runs here. And, we love the entire Wallace family. We're looking forward to seeing Steve this weekend.
Well, definitely. Drew Beddard from Bristol Motor Speedway, thank you so much for joining us on the Morning Bullring with Bob and Brandon and myself and answering all the questions and giving out all the details. It is going to be a special event this weekend for sure.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to be there, unfortunately, and we're going to let Drew go now. We're going to get Steve Wallace on the line after the break, but I'm going to be pumped up because I'm going to be in Columbus, Mississippi with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series on Saturday, but I'll be tuning in as well in our downtime when some of the other divisions are going on to what's happening at the Bristol Motor Speedway. So much happening in the world of short track racing. Pro Late Models will be part of the brigade there this weekend, this Saturday at Bristol Motor Speedway. Stan Narrison actually talking to us this morning as well on our Facebook Live feed. And he wants us to remind people they got a great Show Me the Money Series Pro Late Model race coming up June 7th at Five Flags Speedway, Montgomery Motor Speedway on June 8th. Extra bonus provided by Sunoco. That's going to be interesting. We're going to do a story on that this week. I'm sure Brandon Paul's already jotting it down, getting ready for that. But a lot happening for sure in the world of short track racing, and we appreciate Stan Narrison for watching the show. He does a great job at Montgomery Motor Speedway.
Well, we are going to go to another timeout here in just a few moments and take another break. This is the Morning Bullring on this Tuesday, May 28th. Back with Steve Wallace after our break in just a moment.
race fans, download the new Speed51.com app today. Breaking news, feature stories, the unfiltered podcast, live race coverage, schedules, and more right at your fingertips. Download it today on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
It's Bristol, baby. The Short Track U.S. Nationals return to Bristol Motor Speedway. May 31st and June 1st. For tickets, visit bristolmotorspeedway.com/tickets.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes. Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
Welcome back to the Morning Bullring. Wesley, Brandon, Bob, and anybody else that decides to join in. 9 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. See, Bob, I used to work in radio as well, so I know how to do the whole countdown timer and more. Yeah. I've always been a big Kiss fan. Kiss for me. I want to rock and roll all night and party every day.
I played Kiss mini golf when I went to Vegas.
Really?
Kiss theme mini golf, yeah.
Like if you got the ball in the hole, did it play like a Kiss song or something?
No, they played Kiss music the whole time, actually.
They got to have a Dave Matthews Band one for Mark.
I wish.
Dave Matthews is overrated.
We're going to go back to the PFC.
I'm just trying to get Mark going.
All right, guys. We're going to get back on track here. Let's go back to the PFC Performance Line, and we are going to join now. Really? He's a first-time caller? A first-time caller to the Morning Bullring, but somebody that I know very well in racing, somebody that everybody in the Speed 51 world knows in NASCAR and grassroots. Stephen Wallace, welcome to the Morning Bullring, my friend. How was your Memorial Day?
Man, it was pretty good. We went on the lake and had a good time. Got to hang out with my daughter and friends and had some fun, man. It was cool.
That's phenomenal.
Steve, it's time for Bristol. It's Bristol, baby. How pumped up are you to return to the last great Coliseum this weekend?
Man, I'm really excited about Bristol. Bristol's, really, really cool place in my heart. My family's, my dad's had a lot of success there, and I, was fortunate enough to race there quite a bit in the Busch Series, and got a pole and had some really good runs, and there's just nothing like it, man. It's just an exciting atmosphere. I built a new car, and we're all ready to go, man.
2004 winner of the Snowball Derby. You have won the Tom Dawson Trophy. You have had so many successes in short track racing. What does it mean to try to go after that sword for Bristol this weekend?
Oh man, the sword would be everything in the world. We've been going up there now the past couple of years, and we've had really, really good cars. Just had some bad luck. Like last year, we cooked an alternator wire and the battery went dead with like 3 laps to go, running fourth or fifth there. A really good car there, and looking back at it, if that wouldn't happen, we had a shot to win it. But it's just that track's really tough on all your equipment, and like I said earlier, we put a real big effort into building a brand new car, and really went through all the stuff that I've kind of learned that's broke or bit me in the past. So I feel like we're going to Bristol this year with everything prepared the way it needs to be.
Now, those watching the Morning Bullring right now, we're showing highlights from last year, the 2018 Short Track U.S. Nationals at Bristol Motor Speedway. And, Steve, that leads me to my next question. I think it was last year. I drove around Bristol in a minivan. What is it like driving around Bristol in a super late model?
Well, that's definitely a lot different, man. I've drove some late model stocks there, and I've raced Busch cars there quite a bit, and it's just the super late model is just on paper just more of a race car. It's lighter, got more left side weight, everything's just bigger and badder on it. So it's pretty barbaric, put it at that. When we went up there 2 or 3 years ago for the first time, in a long time, in one of these cars, man, I flew down to turn one and I was just kind of waiting on it to roll. And then next thing you know, you're, wide open back before the center and just flying. So it's kind of very similar to, Winchester, the, sensation of speed is and whatnot, but it's just, it's unlike anything we ever go to and race at. These cars just fly. They're just a better race car than what would be like a NASCAR style car or whatever. So it's pretty exciting as a driver to be able to experience both of them.
Well, Steve, you have won the Tom Dawson Trophy before, winning the 2004 Snowball Derby, one of the biggest of super late model racing. What would it mean to you to win that big sword at Bristol Motor Speedway this weekend?
Man, Bristol would be really cool to win. We won it just same kind of style race a long time ago, and it was hell, I'm talking like I'm old now. I definitely feel like it, but in 2002, they had a really, really big late model stock race we won up there, and I've got the miniature version of the Cup Trophy and all that stuff. So it'd be really, really cool to be able to win that race, man. It would mean the world to me. It'd be awesome.
So you mentioned earlier you're taking a new car to Bristol. What exactly are the plans with that moving forward?
Well, it's just, man, everybody thinks, man, you're taking a new car to that track and all that. But hell, in my theory, you've got to take your best bullet everywhere you can go, whether it's Hickory or Bristol. It's just the cars and drivers are so good, and the teams that you've got to put your best bullet in the gun every time you go to the track. So I'm excited about it. It's a Fury car, but I hand build these things and try and make everything just the best I can every time, making everything lighter and better and stronger. Just try and streamline stuff. So I feel like this is the best build that I've got going on, and everybody's excited about it there at Fury to, get this car on the track.
Wallace, it's Bob Dillner, your old buddy there. Looking forward
What's
to
up,
seeing
man?
you running. Yeah, absolutely. But what the heck? We need to get you back at the racetrack more often. How are we going to do that? We want to see you there.
I've got a little girl now, and that between building hot rods and big wheel baggers and going home to my little girl, it's my hands are tied, man. I've been working my butt off, and there's only one of me and not enough time in the day. So racing's kind of turned into a little bit of a hobby here lately, but we're going to run all the big races this year, which is about 7 of them. So we're going to run Bristol and what's the next ones? Winchester 400 and the Redbud 400, and just kind of focus on those races, versus trying to race every week. Because all honesty, I don't have time to do it.
So hey, years ago, and listen, Steve, we've talked about this time and time again. We were all young and dumb once, okay? But now you're like this established race car driver, okay? And you're a dad. What is Steve Wallace like as a dad? We want to know.
Well, I can tell you this. As everybody knows, I've starred in about every movie you can possibly be in when it comes to all the, fun and excitement type of stuff. So I'm loving it right now. I've got a little girl. Her name's Nova. My grandmother passed away. Her name was Novella, and she was like a mom to me. So me and my wife, we named her Nova, kind of short for that. And it's just a lot of fun, man, when you get to, come home and get away from parts washers and race cars and welders and grinders, and you got a little mini me of you sitting there. So it's exciting, man, and I love every minute of it. It's unexplainable. I've had everybody say, man, when you have a kid, it'll totally change your life. I say, no, you can't change me, and sure the hell it did. So
I got 5 of them. I know how it changed your life, and
you
love
got
it.
Got your hands working there.
But hey, how do you like changing diapers?
Well, believe it or not, it's not too bad. It's kind of funny. I posted some stuff on my Facebook page, but I built a diaper changing table, here at the Fab Shop. I had it all powder coated, really cool and everything. So we've got it. We got that down pat, man.
Was that the picture we saw of the engine hoist as well with your daughter in it on Facebook?
She comes to the shop sometimes, and I like to bring her here, and my wife will bring her here for about a half hour a day and whatnot, just so I can see her and kind of be around her, and she can get used to stuff that way. So yeah, I thought what better way to kind of support her, man. We just pop her out of her car seat there and put her on the engine hoist. Everything works like that good.
Hey, listen, I loved it, honestly. And I saw that it was taken down. I don't know if you got some heat for it or not. I think that's a load of crap if you got heat for it. I'll just say that right there. Because honestly, Steve was innovative Okay, he didn't go to Babies R Us or anything like that and buy that swing. He utilized a product that he had in the shop, made sure his daughter was safe, put it on there, and it acted as a swing just like you would buy in Babies R Us. I applaud you of that innovation, Stephen.
Yeah, man, it's built out of steel, can hold motors, so it's got to be stronger than some Chinese plastic.
Oh my goodness, there it is.
I thought it
It's
looked
awesome.
good.
It's awesome.
It's got the 5-point safety harness and everything, don't it, Steve-O?
Oh yeah, man. She's the safest spot right there, man. That's for sure. But no, man, everything's really good. We've just been working hard here at the shop. Building a new car and working on motorcycles and building hot rods and all kinds of stuff. So I've been really busy, but it's been having a lot of fun here.
Before we let the baby thing go, Steve, I do want to ask you, because obviously I've spent a lot of time around all three of your uncles there, and we know how serious Mike can be, and honestly, your dad's a professional too, and he could cut up, but nobody's as goofy as your Uncle Kenny. So what is Uncle Kenny like in terms of hanging out and interacting with the new family that is yours and the new baby and that sort of thing?
Oh man, he's a lot of fun. Me and my Uncle Kenny are very similar to each other. Like you said, my dad's he's pretty straight laced, and but he's really starting to kind of loosen up too. My brother Greg's got three kids, Ian and 2 twin girls. So everybody's kind of getting older and loosening up, and really having fun. The drag races were in town about 3 weeks ago, and my Uncle Kenny was in town for UNOH is big dirt car sponsor, and he came over to the house since he was in town, and got to see Nova and everybody, and he's one of a kind, man. He really loves those babies too, so it's cool.
Again, we were talking to the driver of Steve Wallace. He will be one of the many that will be in the house at Bristol Motor Speedway for the 3rd annual Short Track U.S. Nationals. Remember, you can see it exclusively and only on the Speed 51 pay-per-view. Again, $14.99 to be live at the races. Steve, South Point is on your car, and it has had a great relationship with Daniel Hemrick and with Brendan Gaughan in NASCAR. Talk about what South Point does for you in grassroots motorsports.
Oh, well, that all kind of started out. Brendan Gaughan and my dad were teammates in the Cup Series years ago, and Brendan's dad Michael's just a great person, and we've always, I call him family. So we've just known each other forever, and Michael and Brendan and all the guys at South Point Casino have always really helped me out for the big expenditure races like the Snowball Derbies and all that type of stuff, and man, that they've always taken great care of us, and they're just great people, man. And it's they've got a hell of a casino out in Las Vegas. It's just really cool, and all the NASCAR teams stay out there, and they take good care of everybody. It's just a blast.
Well, I think we might have lost him. I think we did. Steve, thank you so much, buddy. We were going to actually tell you goodbye. I guess he could sense that I was going to say goodbye, and he said goodbye anyway.
He was
no
done talking
goodbyes
to you,
this
Wesley.
morning. There's no goodbyes this morning.
You know what it is? It's the cheek. Sometimes on those iPhones, I hit the mute. Sometimes you can hit the,
See, that's why I don't have an iPhone, Bob Dillner.
Listen, you're a droid boy. You're a weirdo, a nerd, and that's all I have to say.
Speechless again, 3rd time.
There's going to be
come to the blue side of things, okay? Blue, we'll be friends. Green, your enemies.
Okay, well, so much for that, Brandon.
He's not
What
lying.
kind of phone do you have?
I have an iPhone.
Bob
I'm
got
not
it
a
for
nerd.
you, didn't he?
He kind of did talk.
He told me, he was like,
I think when I started,
just
I
come
had
over,
it
come over to the iPhone world,
Yeah.
Wesley. I'll help you out. I'll get you away from Android.
The best is when Bob has to have one of us in the office text like a guy like Connor because he's green. So we'll have a group message going with everybody, but because Connor's green, he doesn't want his phone to turn green. So we'll get everything established, and I'll say, okay, somebody let Connor know because we don't like droids around here.
There we go.
Green's bad luck in racing. Just saying.
Green means
so.
go.
If you want better luck in racing, go to blue.
Okay. Well, maybe one day.
Once you go blue, you won't go back.
You know what? You might not get me. What did you just say?
I don't think that works.
You might get me to go to iPhone. Might get me to go to blue. You're not going to get me to get the mullet. It ain't happening.
No.
I'm getting my hair cut today.
Shaved. How about completely shaved?
No, I'm not doing what Zach did. No, I'm not doing that.
Hold on. We have been experimenting with some different hairstyles for you back here. Tom Ryan's been having a little bit too much fun. And it's not quite the mullet, but this is like the Gene Simmons. You mentioned Kiss, which I hate. But here's kind of like the Wesley Gene Simmons look without the tongue. What do you think?
Speechless.
No, you're not live, Wesley. Yeah.
Oh,
DJ Irvin is saving this right now. And it's going to come back to haunt you at maybe the banquet
At
or
the
something
banquet,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, we need to save that, by the way, because that'll be at the Fast Track Racing Series banquet for sure.
Well, there's going to be the Outland Point that Bob talks about. The Outland Point, it's coming. Oh, my goodness. We're going to take a quick break. I have to. I need one. Back with more of the Morning Bullring. Final half hour in just a minute.
Hey race fans, download the new Speed51.com app today. Breaking news, feature stories, the Unfiltered podcast, live race coverage, schedules, and more right at your fingertips. Download it today on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
It's Bristol, baby. The Short Track U.S. Nationals return to Bristol Motor Speedway. May 31st and June 1st. For tickets, visit bristolmotorspeedway.com/tickets.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We'll take you behind the scenes. Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, and thousands of on-demand videos. Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the best video coverage.
Six minutes after the hour of 9 o'clock. Getting down to the home stretch here for our May 28th edition of the Morning Bullring. Brandon, Wesley, Bob, Partridge in a Pear Tree, whoever wants to jump in on here. Oh, look, somebody else different is now here. What's up, Zach?
Nothing much. Just ready to bring you some. Am I on? Yeah, this one. Okay. We've got this completely under control. We are professionals here.
I am just my feelings are hurt with the whole Gene Simmons hair. All right, it's time for the racing news. Go what you got, bud.
Racing news. Starting with Fast Track Triple Crown this weekend. Friendship Motor Speedway, downtown Michael Brown being crowned king after winning the Triple Crown title, and also Carson Ferguson picking up that first career Fast Track win. And, of course, we were there with the live broadcast, so you can see those highlights on the Speed 51 network. ARCA Midwest Tour, Casey Johnson picking up the win at Jefferson Speedway, his home track. Has won lots of races there, but that ARCA Midwest Tour win had been eluding him. He was very excited about picking up that win this weekend in Wisconsin. They were also supposed to race yesterday at Wisconsin International Raceway, but unfortunately Mother Nature took that date away from them. Then you also in the super late models, Pass North, Derek Griffith winning at Thunder Road. Had been wanting one of those granite trophies up there, and he's got one of those now. Speaking of Granite State Pro Stock Series, Mike O'Sullivan, former series champion, winning at Monadnock. Third series win at that track for him, but really you have to go back and watch the highlights from that race, that again on Speed 51, because let me tell you, DJ Shaw put on a show. Unfortunately was leading, had a flat tire. You want to watch him drive his way back towards the front of the field and almost give Mike O'Sullivan a run for his money there at the end. On Speed51.com story yesterday, Allison Slode, the first female in the history of Oswego Speedway to win a super modified feature. You think about all the great names that have raced the super modifieds at Oswego. She is the first woman to add her name to that list of winners. Check that story out on speed51.com. And last but certainly not least, we've been talking about all day, can't talk about enough. Going to Bristol this weekend for the 3rd annual Short Track U.S. Nationals. If you can go to Bristol, I recommend it highly, especially for that ticket of $15 general admission, $5 for kids 12 and under, as we talked about with Drew Bedard earlier today. But if you can't, we've got you covered. $19.99 for the pay-per-view, and don't forget, if you're a yearly premium member, you get a discount on that pay-per-view ticket as well. So be sure to check it out.
By the way, come back over here. How about my boy right here? Bristol Motor Speedway,
Yes, sir.
baby.
Yes,
Last
sir.
great Coliseum. Zach supporting the troops this weekend live on Speed 51 with a pay-per-view broadcast.
And that's going to be a fun time. Definitely.
I'm looking
Thank you,
forward
Zach,
to it.
with the news.
Yeah, Bristol is going to be awesome. We've talked about it a lot this show, but all the different divisions and everything, super late models, street stocks, grassroots racing at its best at Bristol.
And we're going to go to the PFC Performance Line for our final guest of the Tuesday Morning Bullring. And we're going to talk now to Dan Redmond. Dan Redmond behind the Vors Compact Touring Series. Welcome to the Bullring. How excited are you to have your compact program going to be on the MAV TV Motorsports Network and Short Track America at Bristol?
Oh, good morning, gentlemen. It's amazing. We are so excited. It's amazing just to be on the Speed 51 pay-per-view at tracks like Winchester and Bristol, and like when you guys say you can get it for $19.99, that's incredible pricing for, I think, 7 features on Saturday. But now that our drivers are getting the chance to be showcased with all 85 teams that we've got entered right now from 10 different states on MAV TV, on Speed 51 Short Track America, it's just, it's a dream come true. It's what Steve Vor's vision's been for our drivers and our series, and it just doesn't get any better than Bristol. But if you can figure out a way to make it better, combining that with Speed 51 and MAV TV, it's just the cherry on top.
Dan, you mentioned 85 cars. Yesterday, I believe, when I looked at the list, it was at 80 cars. How many of these compacts can we expect at Bristol this weekend?
I think that I think we're probably pretty close on that number. We've got a very good relationship with our drivers, and we try very hard to make sure that, we give accurate car counts. There's always things that come up. Somebody can have a problem as they're pulling down to Bristol or a family emergency, but, Steve Vor's vision has always been, hey, we've got to be good partners with the tracks and the sponsors. And so we tell our drivers, if you think you're coming because you're still waiting on an engine, don't tell us you're coming until you've got the engine in the car. So, we try to want to make sure that we go to tracks, and when we have a entry list posted, it is pretty close, because I know as a huge race fan myself, I always love going to racetracks, still love going to racetracks on weekends off, but when you get the entry list and it says you're going to have 40 cars and then 13 show up, as a race fan, it's very disappointing, and we can't do that to our race partner tracks that we go to. So I feel pretty confident that we're going to be right close to that 85 number, give or take a few on either side. I know that since we made the announcement of Short Track America on MAV TV, that's even got more interest sparked and everything. So, it's hard to tell how many could actually show up.
So, Steve, Bob Dillner here on the Morning Bullring. We're talking to Dan Redmond, actually, with us here at the Vors Compact Series. And, Dan, I want to ask you about just the event and walking in across the racetrack, preparing to race. If you're a compact racer from the Vors Compact Touring Series, what does it mean to you?
It's so incredible, Bob. For not only our racers, but our officials, I and my wife Linda and Steve and family and friends have been going down to Bristol since it was the concrete bleachers on the front stretch with nothing but hillside on the back stretch, and not even thought about turns 3 and turns 4 when Larry Carrier owned the track. And as many years as I've been there, the first year, 2 years ago, that I pulled down in the infield representing BCTS Racing and got out of the car and looked up at the stands, it still gave me goosebumps. And the first year that we had compacts at Bristol, we had a gentleman that doesn't normally run with our series, and he probably would have made you look like a small man, Bob. And Steve Vor, that owns our series, is a relatively small man. And this guy came over after the first practice session, and grabbed a hold of Steve and shook him in a bear hug because he was just so excited and adrenaline. He's like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't believe I am living out my dream. You know, after that first race, it was one of those things that I would go around and talk to all of our drivers, and we had some drivers that, you know, blew an engine or had a bad spin and hit the wall or whatever, and I'd go and apologize for that not being the weekend they wanted, and their faces would light up, and they would smile like, Dan, it doesn't matter. I trashed my car, but it doesn't matter because I raced at Bristol, and I priced it at Bristol. And, you know, and our car count was up from the first year to the second year, and it looks like it's going to be up again this year. So it's just something for grassroots, mom and pop, blue-collar working drivers to be able to go to tracks like Eldora Speedway that Tony owns, and Bristol and Lucas Oil Raceway Park, Salem, Winchester, Toledo, Anderson, Indiana. You know, these are amazing facilities that we get to have the honor and privilege of running, and it really is a bucket list item for so many drivers. And once they go, they keep coming back.
We're looking at highlights from last year at the Bristol Motor Speedway with the Vors Compact Touring Series. The boss man, Steve Vors, in victory lane with a big sword last year. That was pretty cool. But give us a little preview of what we're going to see. Who are some of the names that will be contending for that sword this year, Dan?
You know, we have got pretty much the who's who of compact racers. Everybody from Kyle Starks and Gary Starks up in Wisconsin, Derek Bradshaw in Louisville, Kentucky, Zachary Curtis in Florida, that are all hot dogs that don't normally run our series. You know, and then we've got, you know, guys that run our series part-time like Mark Mason that can win in anything they drive, whether it's a late model, street stock, or compact. And then we've got, you know, this will be our 8th year of VCTS racing. Every single series champion in VCTS, including Ryan Hoffman, our very first series champion, will be at Bristol this year. And so it's one of those things that this year the competition level is going to be tougher than it's ever been because Kyle and Gary Starks haven't been here in the past, and so it's just it's going to be incredible with the drivers and the talent that we've got coming. If you can make the A main, that is a huge win in and of itself.
Dan, earlier in the show, we were talking about the 4-wide salute. Obviously, you see that a lot in dirt racing, but last year, you guys did a 6-wide salute at Bristol Motor Speedway for the fans. Are we going to see that again this year?
I believe so. That is going to be part of the VCTS legacy at Bristol. You know, it was something that Steve and I worked on very closely last year, getting it ready and trying to make sure that it would work. And we tested it, and you know, and it worked well. And you know, when I went to Brandon Cross and said that we wanted to do that, Brandon's like, "Are you sure you can?" And I was like, "Well, Brandon, look at it this way. Either way it goes, whether it goes well or it doesn't go well, Speed 51 is going to get a heck of a camera shot." So, but again, we got such amazing drivers and talent in our series that, you know, we did 2 full laps around the racetrack 6 wide. And, yeah, that's on the agenda again for this year.
Again, joining us is Dan Redmond. He is the Director of Racing Operations for the Vors Compact Touring Series. They are just one of the 4 classes that will be in action at Bristol Motor Speedway for the 3rd annual Short Track U.S. Nationals. You can only watch it exclusively on the Speed 51 Network pay-per-view. Again, $19.99, $14.99 to see the race. But I got a question for you, though. Where does the Compact Series go next after Bristol? And, of course, another big event is the 50,000 to win Fast Track World Championship. Bob and I have clout with Fast Track. If we could get the Sport Compacts to be at Virginia Motor Speedway on the half mile in September, would that be something you would do in Jamaica, Virginia?
You know, it's something that we're always open to looking at things. We've got our schedule full for this year, and one of the things that Steve has always wanted to stay away from is throwing in dates once the schedule's complete, because so many of our racers are, you know, factory workers and semi-truck drivers and things of that nature that, you know, they have to ask for time off from work to go racing with us, and we'd hate to ever cost somebody a points championship by throwing in a date at the last minute and everything. But, you know, we love the opportunity. The series continues to grow. You know, next we're going to June 14th and 15th. We'll be up at Toledo Speedway on the half mile on Friday night. And then Saturday night, we'll go right down the road to Flat Rock, Michigan. We've actually got Kenny Schrader that's driving a VCTS car with us at Flat Rock, and he'll be making his debut in a VCTS car. He was tested out, didn't get to test the car because of rain, but made sure the seat and measurements and everything was fine for him this past Tuesday. And Flat Rock and Toledo's coming up. And then July 20th, Michael Waltrip does VCTS racing. We're building him a Toyota Celica because Michael wanted to say that he's officially ended his career in the same way he started it, because Michael, as he calls it, started out his career in four bangers, and said it would be so cool to come 360 and finish it that way. So that's the second annual BJ's Body Shop Bowl Classic at Shady Bowl in DeGrasse, Ohio on July 20th. So, we've got so many great partner tracks that we have a great problem to have with our series, and we have more demand every year for being able to get race dates to tracks than we actually have opportunities on the schedule. But with the racing that you guys watch our drivers put on week in and week out, and the kind of car counts that we've been fortunate enough and blessed to be able to bring to partner tracks, that is a good problem to have, of not having enough room on our calendar for all the tracks that want us.
And Dan, we got some things in the works too with Speed 51 for later on in the year. You caught Mark Keeler's ear a little bit by knowing now that both Kent Schrader and Michael Waltrip will be actually racing. I personally saw those stories on Speed 51 to announce it's already new going into it, despite Mark Keeler is a little bit, shock factor here, but that's okay. I like to pick on Mark a little bit. He picks on me as well. But I think what Wesley was trying to get at, honestly, Dan, is you've been to some big places. Before we let you go, are there anything in the works in terms of some other cool tracks that you might go to in the future?
Yeah, we've actually talked and been having conversations, and we just couldn't actually make it work in the schedule for this year. But Steve and I went to Mid-Ohio, talked to Adam Fisher, and the last couple of years we've been starting to work on a road course date with Mid-Ohio, and we had the opportunity for last year. But at the time, we didn't know. We knew Bristol was going to move to Short Track Nationals. We know a road course would be a huge event as well, with a huge car count, and we didn't want to schedule it on top of what Bristol was going to be. And Mid-Ohio's got the same problem that we have, is that they've only got so many dates to give out. And so Adam's like, yeah, I'm going to give you a date if you want one, but I start the 1st of September with dates for the following year, and usually by the middle of September I'm booked up, and we just didn't have the confirmation on Bristol yet, and so we backed it off a year. But that's in the works, and me and Steve's had some other conversations with some other tracks and facilities, and that that's been Steve's vision all along, is to get the respect for compact drivers as professional drivers that just don't have a sugar mama or a sugar daddy to pay the bills, but to get them to some of the greatest tracks in the Midwest. And I'll tell you now, he's not giving up on that.
Well, Dan Redmond, buddy, you got me cracking up after that sugar mama, sugar daddy adjective. But you take care of yourself, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you at Bristol. And again, hope it's a great show for you. And I'm looking forward to seeing this show in person. First time ever being there for this event and being the announcer. It's going to be a great event. Thank you for your time on the Bullring.
Hey, guys, thank you for everything you guys do for short track racing. So we'll see you this weekend.
And all you sugar mamas and sugar daddies, get ready to head to Volunteer State, because it's going to be fun for sure.
Sugar daddy, sugar mama, anything.
I loved it. I was so ready to just close it out, and he said that, and I just lost it, just trying to keep from holding it.
By the way, we got some comments on social media as well. I believe it's Ron LeMasters Jr. saying, can't wait.
Yes.
Looking forward to the compacts, features, short track U.S. Nationals, Bristol Motor Speedway. I didn't even realize Mark took my camera. I'm just kind of looking all over the place. But Mark, you got a couple others? Brett Wheeler. Oh, yeah, Brett Wheeler watching from Sydney, Australia. He's been trying to get us to say that this entire show. Sydney, Australia in the house here at Studio 51.
Bob, he is a good friend of mine, actually. He used to be...
Who isn't a good friend of yours? Yeah. Let's just get that out of the way really quickly.
You know what? I'm about to walk off set. Seriously. I want to be friends no more.
No.
Your Bruins are going to lose
we're
now,
not really
buddy.
good friends
yeah.
anymore. No.
Blues are going to get you. Remember what Bob said about Blue? Ooh.
I think I need that as my text tone when Wesley texts me now. Ooh.
Halloween. Oh, well.
We're far ways from Halloween.
Well,
by the way.
anyhow,
Still
what
May.
were we talking about? We were talking about Bristol and all that cool stuff. And then Bob just, what were you talking about?
Hold on.
Bob?
Well, what
I
we
am
want to do is
lost.
we're going to go show the PFC Breaks Twitter feed for Speed 51.
Yes.
And I can't believe right now we don't have many votes going on right now.
Oh, wow.
Only 17 votes on should D. Griff get the long hair back. I think D. Griff should get the long hair back. I'm going to get on there and vote yes. So we want to invite everybody to go to our Twitter page and vote on this poll. This poll. Can't say that. Too early in the morning, I guess. But Derek Griffith, the winner at Thunder Road in the Pro All-Star Series North Division, years ago, had long hair when he first started racing, put Triple X on there. I think he should do the throwback, too, maybe for the Derby. Forget about the current number. Go to the long hair and the Triple X for the Snowball Derby.
Okay.
What do you think? Vote now.
I agree. I think he's going to have 5 more yes votes by the time we get off this show. But
It doesn't matter whether it's like 10 votes or 1,000 votes. If the majority says he has to do it.
Hey, why don't we take his head and morph
on yours,
his head?
It wouldn't be as fun.
With the hair on, which y'all put on mine and see what it comes out as.
But it wouldn't be as fun.
Why?
Because we like to pick on you.
Okay.
We kid because we care.
Absolutely. I'm
Some
having
of us.
fun. It's been fun, definitely. So,
Speaking of, now that I'm here, I just want to let you know that cars running near each other and occasionally getting 4 wide and
Oh, here he
occasionally
goes.
having a good restart does not necessarily mean it's a good race. Just FYI.
you really didn't think the race was good Sunday?
I fell asleep.
Really?
I fell asleep. Listen, I think it might have been good in person, absolutely. But I think, and I don't have an answer for it for sure.
So, do you blame it on the TV broadcasters for not making it exciting?
No, they're showing what they can. Okay, but I think there were exciting moments,
Right.
but that does not mean it's an exciting race. And I applaud the work and the progress of what's being done to make it better, but I don't think we had an exciting race. I think we had exciting moments in the 600.
can we all just agree that 600 miles is too long in this day and age?
Yeah.
I get the tradition.
No.
That's a special race.
I don't-
Okay, that to me, it will never be the sponsor. To me, it will always be the World 600.
But hold on. I'm a traditionalist, okay? But we know in this day and age, everything has changed.
Yes, that's true.
Kids are on video games like they wouldn't believe. My 3-year-old, which is sad, knows how to operate an iPhone, okay?
What about an Android?
Things have, not an Android. Things have changed so much that we have to change with it. And therefore, I do believe that the 600 is too long now. And I am all for the crown jewel races in short track racing and in NASCAR, in F1, as well as the IndyCar series. However, I think the attention span of people has changed and how we consume things has changed so much that I think you need to change the 600 up into maybe a triple header of 200-mile races. And
I like it.
I've talked to some industry leaders in NASCAR and have offered that. The segment thing, honestly, I will just
Stages.
say, no, stages is a hogwash too, because it doesn't really mean that much yet. So instead of we're all worried about, we know we need shorter races, okay, and we need to condense, but they're like, well, we can't because we have this big TV window to fill. Well, guess what? Do double and triple headers and make them count. Make them points-paying races. Make them separate races. Invert the field for the second or the third race or whatever it may be. And the teams are going to go, what if I wreck a car? Tell you what, you can bring out a backup once in a double or triple header once and start at the rear of the field for the next one.
Wow.
And they're
Okay?
right down the road.
Might as well. Absolutely.
Charlotte.
No,
Go to the
I'm
shop.
talking,
Go to the
I'm
shop.
talking about everywhere we go. Forget about these stages.
Oh, okay.
Let's have some real things that mean something important. Put points on the line, finishes, championship implications, and get it done. If you're going to change it completely. Don't just change it half.
So, Bob, do you think now with this merge, or not a merger actually, but with NASCAR buying ISC,
It's
do
a
you
bunch of
think that's
hogwash
gonna-
too. Listen, my
Really?
father-in-law asked me about that too. And listen, I asked Bill France Jr. one time about NASCAR buying a racetrack. And he said, NASCAR didn't buy a racetrack. ISC did. Would you care to rephrase your question? And he was right technically, but at the same time, the same principal people are involved in one company to the next. So I honestly believe that NASCAR's acquisition, when it happens, of ISC is only going to be helpful for the sale of NASCAR. Okay? It's going to make NASCAR look better in the eyes of a buyer. And I really, truly believe that that's the scenario that's playing out.
There you go.
Here's what I'll say about the whole 600 debate we were having. I was right down the road from Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I would have had to consider it if somebody wanted to give me tickets, because it's too long. It's too long. It was 95.
And it was too hot.
It was too hot. I don't want to sit out there, and I don't want to watch racing for 4.5 or 5 hours. And I'm a race fan. I like racing. I like motorsports. So now, what about people who you're just kind of trying to get in for entertainment purposes that maybe aren't the diehard enthusiasts that many of us are? And I like Bob's idea. Shorter races. If you have to do a couple, everybody, especially at Charlotte, you know it, being around here, everybody comes in early. Why not have one race one day, one race the next? Like, make it a 3 or 4 race deal, like you see with like the dirt track at Charlotte with the World Finals or something of that sort. I think there's different options that can better suit today's audience and today's social media generation that obviously doesn't have a long attention span.
Okay, Bob, I got one question via text here. Somebody just texted me and said, I know you guys are covering Bristol, but will the fast track race at Toccoa have anything on Speed 51? I would
Heck
say
yes.
I would say yes.
Absolutely. We'll be live from Toccoa in Georgia for the Fast Track Racing Series. Of course, Speed 51, the official video home of Fast Track and Ultimate. We're proud to have that partnership, and we'll have a lot more on that race at Toccoa a little later on in the week on Speed 51. We'll be pumping up big time.
There you go. And, of course, we'll get ready for Bristol. Whole bunch of other great things going on as well. Video highlights, articles, editorials, photos, music videos, all at speed51.com. Brandon, it's been fun, buddy. Definitely.
Time to go get a haircut.
I'm getting my hair cut, definitely. And it's not going to be that long thing that everybody else saw on the screen.
Why don't you get at least 2 of them cut? The 2 that go either direction there.
It's all going to, I'm getting it cut, so we're going to get
there
off
you go.
here.
We love you, Wesley.
Everybody, thank you for joining us for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Bullring. It will be back here on next Monday as regular time at 7 a.m. for, of course, everybody here. Bob Dillner, Brandon Paul, Tom Ryan, Mark Keeler, Zach Evans, Wesley Outland. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you at the races very soon.